2019 리그 오브 레전드 캐스파컵 울산. 안녕하세요. 김채연입니다. 반갑습니다. 네, 어제
Welcome everybody. We are back at the KeSPA Cup 2019 Ulsan. I am Valdez. With me is Lesnek. How are you doing today? We got a big match. It's another semifinals here. We are here 2 hours early, and it is DragonX up against Afreeca. How are you feeling, Lesnek?
Listen, I didn't want to make the prediction yesterday because yesterday was opposite day for apparently everything. So today, I am expecting DragonX to win 3-0. And I'm not a person that's a very big fan of predicting 3-1 because what has to really go wrong in order for a team that you're predicting to get the 3 wins anyway to drop one game? And when there's been such a downtime for these teams that have occurred, roster changes, mix-ups, the way that the meta's been, I just don't. I'm not going to err on the side of caution with a 3-1 or a 3-2 or anything. I just think DragonX has better players. I think that the top side matchup, it is Doran that is up there in top lane against Kiin. So
yeah,
historically, that's one of the players that could sort of go even against the Elite Four. But now he's joined the Elite Four. He actually, it's like the most recent.
He's ranked up.
Yeah,
sure.
He's joined. Something happened to one of the older Elite Fours.
Yeah, I don't know. Might have left.
Went to China.
Yeah, he went to a different game or something like that. Yeah, he went to a different region. And Doran, definitely going to be a challenge for him, but I think elsewhere on the map, DragonX definitely do have that advantage in terms of pretty much every other role. When I think about it just on paper, I don't really see any other place in which Afreeca is really going to get an advantage there. So I am erring on the side of DragonX as well. I was going to go for the 3-1 until you were like, I don't like 3-1s. They're not good predictions. I'm just not a big fan of the 3-1. And the reason being is because Afreeca is a very kind of wild card team at times. They were like this for many years now in a row, where they can just come in and take games off of pretty much anyone, and they've always been middle of the pack. And I think they're going to come out strong with some kind of weird strategy. Maybe take game number 1, and then DragonX is like, no, and just kind of like smothers them with the pillow. That would be my expectation. I was actually talking with Atlas earlier. He had a very similar one as well. We were talking about that. But you're going for the 3-0. I feel like yesterday you were right in the 3-0, and it actually should have been a 3-0 for the other team.
For the other team, yeah.
Until they threw one of the games. So definitely some questions about where T1 is and how they're going to do in the LCK. But take everything here in the KeSPA Cup with a grain of salt because it's new rosters. Everybody's getting used to the new meta. There's a lot of things in flux right now, so nothing's permanent. This doesn't mean that Sandbox is definitely going to be better than T1 in the LCK or anything like that.
I don't know what you're talking about, Valdez. Didn't you watch yesterday's games?
I did. That's
all that matters.
It was pretty convincing, at least.
So we're going to see who is going to join Sandbox in the finals after just a couple of games today. And again, we're going to see what is going to be the meta of today. Interestingly, yesterday, it was weird in the sense that there was actually a lot of polar opposite team compositions meeting one another, but then the one that should have been favored would lose, and that ended up leading to very peculiar stuff. But obviously, the mid lane meta was the most interesting thing from yesterday. We had Mordekaiser go into mid. We had Nautilus in mid lane. We had Kiana. We had Orianna as well, and then we had the return of Azir. So definitely some mix-ups going on there. The Lucian bans have obviously remained pretty standard. Misfortune probably still going to be very high priority today. So we'll see, though, if there's going to be any sort of deviation.
Yeah, I have all the pick bans right here from yesterday. I actually kept everything set from yesterday, so we're ready to go into today just to get a feel for what the drafting was like because maybe you could speak more on this, but do you feel like the teams they watched yesterday, like the teams that are playing today, do you think they watched yesterday and saw like kind of the pick ban and are thinking, okay, we could do this. This worked for that team. What do you guys think about this? I'm not asking you to give up like secrets or anything like that.
Well,
but
listen,
just like
Olaf is the best champion in the game. I think that if you didn't,
that's something big to take from yesterday.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's a huge thing to take. I mean, didn't you see it? Didn't you?
I saw it.
Yeah, you should have watched.
We
what
all
happened.
saw.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think I think what you're asking is definitely true, and I think that it's very scary. Because ultimately what it would end up it could lead to result-based analysis, and that isn't something that's always particularly good, especially when you try to entertain the alternatives of what could have happened in certain situations. So maybe there's some sort of an influence. Sometimes you will have players, even first-time champions almost, on stage with very, very little practice, simply because they think that it's going to be the best in a certain spot. I think there was a player, maybe it was it Joker, Leona? I think that he said that he first timed her in a game. Yeah, that might
right.
be. So sometimes that does end up happening. So we'll see if any reoccurring picks come out today. The jungle has been pretty stale for the most part in terms of the meta.
That's the one role where we're just like, there's 4 champions. But it's kind of like support in a way, right? Because support isn't changing that much. We saw Nautilus, we saw Leona. At least we saw, I think, more Leona than average yesterday, which I think is a step in the right direction, a very small step. But yeah, a lot of Braum, a lot of Tom Kench we saw. And the jungle's kind of similar. We see Lee Sin gets banned a bunch.
Lee Sin, Elise, Gragas, Olaf, Rek'Sai.
Gragas?
Gragas is good. Gragas is one of the good ones.
Yeah.
Lee Sin's base stats, in addition to Conqueror in its current state, also makes him more acceptable, for sure.
And Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai we actually saw a bunch as well, even banned out. And Kiana also can flex into the jungle.
Yeah, she's more impacted by the jungle changes, which... I mean, I don't know how much time we have to talk about these things until we jump into...
Lot.
Yes, it does seem like something is actually going on right now. But the two most impactful changes from preseason is that junglers are, even when they're going legendary, they're still behind solo laners in terms of XP, typically, unless it's one of the power farm junglers like Karthus or something, who actually can maintain or keep up with the solo laners because of just how much he is able to farm. But Kiana has less access to gold, but one of the fortunate things is that she has better recalls because she's always just buying longswords. So very, very cheap items that go into literally everything because all she does is build lethality items. Whereas she also has a reliance, though, on maintaining a lead over her opponents and getting those lethality items. So if she doesn't accelerate fast enough, she ends up being very akin to Shaco or Kha'Zix. I had to think about that one.
Kha'Zix?
Yeah, Kha'Zix. So that's what ends up happening there inside of the jungle. And so support, likewise, though, with the changes that they ended up having, the support items let you come online faster. And so one of the only tank supports that ends up actually benefiting from this is Leona, because in synergy with the Aftershock and her W, she has this extremely long period of just added resistances that are very obnoxious to deal with, and she ends up gaining or giving her team so much CC.
Yeah, absolutely. Leona's a champion that I think we're going to see a lot more of as this one does come along. Perhaps results-based, perhaps just realizing that she is better than originally noticed. It can be good against certain 80 carries specifically that are not very mobile, such as MF, which we see a lot of Xayah. You can try to catch her right after she comes out of her ultimate. But enough of that. We are going to take a look at some results. We do have DragonX ahead here overall, 9-6. But again, very different teams over the course of the amount of times these guys have played up against each other. And so don't take too much from that. The average age of the team, Afreeca, seemingly much older, more than 3 years on average older than anyone on the side of DragonX.
And this is actually a little bit interesting because I think Afreeca in LCK summer, right? They had the youngest average, I believe. They had Senan. down there, who I think is 18 or 19. Yeah, they had UCal as well. So definitely a lot of roster changes that have added to this flip, but lots of mix-up going on there. DragonX, yes, one of the younger teams in the league right now. Deft now, interestingly, one of the older members on his team, and that's not something so common.
Yeah, Kiin used 7 different champions on the trot. I'm going to read the Korean. I believe that means in a row. Yeah. 6 games in a row. Doran and Chovy used 6 different champions in a row. Deft hasn't earned MVP so far. He's the only person to not get MVP. The point says it's okay not to get MVP, but I'm sure Deft is still feeling the burn from from what was that, spring when that happened?
Oh yeah.
Now he's on the same team as Chovy.
Yeah, that was a Frank Abagnale level robbery. That's what was going on there. But we're looking at the key position here matchup. It's going to be Fly versus Chovy in the mid lane, and there's the 6 champions that he's played: LeBlanc, Fiora, Ornn, Galio, Rumble, and Qiyana. So definitely a lot of variety going on there. Fly on the other side, though, Orianna, Syndra, and Zoe. So definitely more mages inside of his pool right now. And Fly's always been one of the mid laners, especially even on the solo queue ladder. He had a Smurf where he was playing all unorthodox mid laners. He was spamming lots of Vigar before anyone else. He was spamming Aurelion Soul even after he got reworked, or had his mini rework. And it'll be interesting to see if he pulls anything out here today. Deft versus Mystic, another key positional matchup. And not a lot of difference in the 80 carry picks.
These are 2 that you guys are going to see today 100%. That will not change. We will see Varus. We will see MF today. And Mystic has been a nice, surprising addition to the side of Afreeca that is really pushing them to kind of the upper echelons. I remember I was casting with maybe Achilles or Seth. I don't think it was with you, but we were casting Afreeca, and we were just very surprised at just how well he can carry the team, essentially. Definitely has that carry mindset, and now Afreeca seems to have earned another carry in the lineup, as Kiin was the big carry for the longest time in this team. And now Fly, surprisingly, has also done extremely well so far in the KeSPA Cup. Spirit with a crazy high KDA so far, almost 11. And I think he's only played 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. He plays once and then Dread comes in. He may have played twice in their first contest, but either way, they are swapping out Spirit and Dread quite often, and I would not be surprised to see them swapping in and out a bunch today during this best of 5. I believe we've also seen Ben, but then nobody else on the side of this roster. So going to be interesting to see what kind of subs that they do go for. And taking a look at the other side here, DragonX. Won't be seeing too many subs in this roster. They look like one of the strongest teams already in Korea with the roster that they play and with CV Max behind them.
Yeah, I mean, they decimated Damwon 2-0, although when I was casting that live, I do remember saying that Damwon did look very off whenever the camera would pan over the players, and so maybe they were just having a very off day, but the gameplay really spoke for itself. DragonX came out of that with a pretty strong, convincing win, and looking at the roster here, Doran, Pyosik, Chovy, Deft, and keria showing up here today. Deft only 11.3 KDA, not really impressed with that one. Probably should have tried a little bit harder.
Gross.
Yeah.
No subs in the lineup, by the way, so all 5 players going to be playing again and getting those shoulder massages from good old CV Max. Getting in there and pumping up his players before the match. And looks like we're just about ready to hop into pick and ban, guys. So the games will start. Enough waiting. We are ready to hop straight into this best of 5.
All right, well, as Atlas had said on Twitter before, are they going to be sinners or are they going to be saints? and we're going to take a look at who ends up on the honest side of a draft. But DragonX now banning Kiana to open things up.
Kiana, pick that we've been seeing more and more of coming in here. Didn't get banned a lot yesterday, but DragonX coming in here and laying down the law already with that ban.
Misfortune, now banned away by Afreeca. Oriana ends up biting the dust right now. And it's still a little bit hard to imagine what both teams might end up banning in their next ban, but Lucian obviously has been a pretty common ban here in the KeSPA Cup. So would expect that that'll probably be Afreeca's last ban, as Akali was next on the chopping block.
Yeah, red side pretty much is always Lucian, Akali, X. And Misfortune, a common third ban. Syndra, a common third ban. We saw a bunch of jungle targeting on red side for that third ban. We saw Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, Elise all banned out as the third ban. Rek'Sai actually twice from there, but I think they were more so targeting the T1 jungler yesterday. As Aurelia going to be taken away here. We all know what Aurelia can do. Haven't seen her for a while.
Well, at this point, Lucian does end up getting banned away. We'll see what DragonX's first champion is going to be. And Rise being hovered. This is able to be flexed mid and top, but very short range mage, so can certainly be punished if Afreeca drafts long range defensive sort of scaling. But right now, out the gate, they're going to go with Varus as an immediate lock-in. So we're finally going to witness a different AD carry between the two teams here, as MF is banned, Varus is locked in for one. And Xayah now picked up. Will they just accompany her with Rakan?
We saw that a lot yesterday. Xayah Rakan, big favorite of T1. And apparently DragonX here in game number 1.
The camera right now hovered onto Fly. Will they just choose a mid laner here? No, they could just take Cassiopeia, but they're hovering Renekton. Spear of Sojin has been removed from the game, and Renekton loses thematically against Xayah Rakan Rise. But you got to pair it with that Elise, because apparently the game is decided in the first 6 minutes. That is the logic that is going on here. So
yes,
back to the prehistoric times is the draft so far, as we move into the second ban phase.
I like it. It's very obvious, this kind of ban, or rather pick structure, you could say, what exactly they're going to do. Banning away the Tahm Kench. They don't want Varus Tahm Kench to come in here. There's always Varus Braum. Or Varus Nautilus. I mean, you know what?
Look, they have
all viable.
They're gonna ban Leona. All right, they're gonna either ban Leona or Nautilus, and then one of the three from the Holy Trinity will end up being picked on R4 by Afreeca. All right, don't get ahead of yourself now, Valdez.
If by Leona and Nautilus you mean Braum, then I agree.
Well, they might think that with the Leona and the Elise that it's just very obnoxious to play against. Likewise, I suppose even the Nautilus. So
Gangplank. Okay.
So Gangplank is banned away, but Rise eats Gangplank. And it's very unlikely that they would pick the GP to go up against Rise when DragonX just has flex priority. So that would also force the Renekton to go into mid lane, and it would make Elise and GP have to play with one another, and they're off theme with each other.
Yeah.
So it would be a very bizarre...
Braum.
There's Braum.
I hope it's the Christmas skin.
Quinn now being hovered, and this is a dual flex. Both Quinn and Rise are able to go mid and top. Mordekaiser now going to be the switch. We'll see if which one of them ends up getting locked in. Quinn probably a lot more flexible than Mord, but they might choose the Mordekaiser to try to stifle the mid game of Afreeca.
We saw no Rise yesterday, actually, from what I can remember. And it's interesting to see him come out here. The flexibility that he offers as a first pick is quite fantastic. Another pick that we saw a bit, and we see a bit of, kind of one of those edge junglers, is Jarvan, who does get locked in here.
And now on the side of Afreeca, they have to decide what they want to go up against, either Rise or Mordekaiser. Okay. And Vel'Koz is going to be locked in. So I was mentioning earlier that Fly is known for the more unorthodox champion picks. And right now it does look like Vel'Koz is going to be coming out for him, and we'll see how he can end up piloting this. Vel'Koz, one of the hardest mid lane champions in the entire game to play proficiently and actually make him work at pro play, but I'm a firm believer that if you can manage to do it, he's one of the best.
I mean, that's the draw of Vel'Koz, right? If you set everything up perfectly and you hit all of your insane skill shots, you're going to have a good time. If you can stay alive in a team fight and get that death ray off in the back and just zap people and do that true damage, you're going to have a good time. So I like the draw. I like how high of a skill cap the champion has. The question is, can it survive here on the pro stage against what DragonX has drafted? Afreeca, obvious connection with Renekton and Elise, but then they have Vel'Koz and Varus to go a bit later game. So I hope they have some ability to connect the dots on their side. Whereas Afreeca, or rather DragonX, definitely a bit more straightforward of a composition, but it looks like we're ready to go, guys, into game number one. Let's hop onto the Rift once again to see who will take game number one. DragonX fighting, Afreeca fighting.
That's really impressive. Valdez, those were some excellent fan cheers. The speed, it really felt like they were competing against one another. You know,
I tried to give them both a fair shot, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to make anyone think that I was favoring either team, even a millimeter. And so I had to give them the exact same fan cheer.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly makes sense. So let's talk about what basically both teams are going to be trying to achieve here. So obviously, the Renekton and the Elise, they don't really need an introduction. They've been a meta mainstay for quite a while now, obviously extremely prevalent during Worlds. But the real focal point of the Afreeca team composition will end up coming down to the Vel'Koz and just how well can they protect Fly in the mid game to act as a moving turret, essentially. And on the flip side for DragonX, all they have to really do is get on top of the Vel'Koz, and if that ends up happening and he falls, the remaining 4 champions on each side, even if it ends up being a 1-for-1 in some way, just favors DragonX all across the board. The Mordekaiser scales so well against all of the champions on Afreeca that's not Vel'Koz. Rise, really good against everything that's not Vel'Koz. Jarvan, Xayah, Rakan, they're beating out everything else. So we're going to have to just pay attention to the mid game, see what ends up happening. But also, can Elise manage to accelerate either of the side lanes? Because if she can't, things are going to be a little bit unfortunate. First dragon of the game is Cloud Drake. So don't expect too much action to maybe go on around it, although I would say that it probably benefits the team comp with Mordekaiser a little bit more.
Absolutely. As we saw SKT in game number 1 of their contest yesterday get ahead with a Mordekaiser comp. It wasn't exactly like this, but they had the scaling, they had the ability to go into the late game, and they kind of botched it with their engages in the late game and essentially handed over the game to the side of Sandbox. So looking forward to seeing if DragonX have a good understanding of the scaling within their composition and can play around that and not make too many mistakes, as yesterday was a weird and wonderful day, but I think we can both agree that it was full of mistakes on both sides that you may expect early on with the new rosters. Nice little ward to spot Spirit on his red, but Chovy kind of awkward positioning here, trying to turn it onto the Spirit as he is going to flash away just at the end. Nice little job there, forcing another chug of the potion from Chovy. Forced to use his flash early on. Now Pyosik just going to say hello.
Pyosik just runs through mid, actually absorbs some of the XP away from Chovy, who, I mean, he's going to be recalling soon anyway, but Fly should be comfortable to stay here in the mid lane for a while. Picking up right-hand side, Scuttle Crab just giving the bot lane coverage to do what they want to do. Deft and Keria, no stranger to just endlessly shoving. It's typically what they like to do, and right now, I mean, just a very large CS advantage is present down here in bot lane. Meanwhile, though, on top side, this top wave is slow pushing into Kiin, and this can get very dicey. You can see Doran, he places the ward down. If there's one timing for him to die, it's right now. If Doran fades this gank, the top lane matchup just becomes a nightmare for Kiin. Yeah, spotted. So
Pings come down, he knows.
If he still dies, it's a true testament to how poorly he must have played in order to die. So take a look if anything's gonna. This isn't real.
He really wanted that range minion, I suppose. He is gonna have to flash away from this one. At least he won't die, but he could have easily just gotten the XP and not gotten the 14 gold. I mean, definitely a bit of a mistake, but either way, is going to fade the gank in terms of not dying. And so that will be good for him. But we'll see exactly when Spirit wants to return to the top lane and how well Kiin can freeze it. Kiin is a wonderful top laner, one of the best, one of the elite four that we have here, and he has insane understanding of the lane and how to freeze it and how to manipulate it, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Even if Elise doesn't come top, he's going to put on the pressure as if she will, or just threaten it just in case.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about this is that right now, you can even see he's threatening the freeze endlessly. He's pulling his wave in. Doran has to respect it more and more. You have Pyosik coming up here to allow Doran to have a little bit more freedom with trying to get this wave crash off, but Kiin being very patient. Did not see Doran get his jungler up here in top lane, and that's going to be the crashed wave, and now Mordekaiser's going to be free to recall. Afreeca, in the meantime, actually going to pick up the Cloud Dragon first.
Yeah, and another engage down here on the bottom side. Just endless trading and pushing from the side of Deft and keria, as you were mentioning earlier on. And we saw in the match points, actually, I want to mention this, that both Chovy and we saw a lot of different names up there. Kiin has played 7 different champions: Hecarim, Ryze, Lucian, Vladimir, Ornn, Camille, and Aatrox. And now he's playing his 8th unique champion today in the first game. It's going to be Renekton. Looking forward to seeing what will be the first repeat as TPs are coming in. Spirit looking to gank in the bottom lane. Maybe they pushed a bit too far. Deft is going to flash away, but he is so dead underneath that turret, not able to get up in the air, as it will be a double kill going to Mystic after the play in the bottom lane.
And so Mystic, they get 2 kills onto him. They're going to be able to also convert this into some turret plates down here as well. As meanwhile, DragonX, I mean, they're getting some waves up in top lane, and so it's not a total loss because you always have to factor, well, what is being lost on both sides. We're going to take a look at this. So you can see Kiin recalling just so that he can channel his TP. They take it all the way. Spirit comes down. Renekton getting in there as well. They chain the cocoon onto Deft, and then keria falls shortly thereafter. But meanwhile, Mordekaiser got 2 waves and a turret plate on the Renekton, so you have to balance it. in regards to what both parties lost. So big win for Afreeca on the bottom side of the map. Doran was able to get some stuff for himself on the top side. 3 minutes until a Mountain Dragon, which means that we're going to have a very exciting Dragon Soul this game.
Ooh, okay. It will be that Infernal or the Ocean Dragon Soul. A couple that, when you get them, it really does feel like the game sort of ends. It gets you a massive lead. And I'd love to see the stats as well for teams that do pick up Dragon Souls and the win percentage. I wouldn't even be surprised if it's 100% so far in the KeSPA Cup. If it's not 100, it's probably around 95. Maybe one game that some team kind of threw back to the enemy team after picking up the Dragon Soul. But it's an incredible buff, and I like the amount of fights it forces and action that it does force.
Yeah,
Big fan so far.
It really does feel like an objective that you can't ignore. Even Baron, sometimes you can basically say, hey, we can actually give this one up because we have such good wave clear that we can resist the Baron minions or it's happening too early. I've never once in my experience seen a case where it's like, well, it's okay to give up that soul.
No, it really never is. Even the Cloud Soul, which seems to be the weakest so far here in the preseason, still, especially against certain comps, you give that up, it's not going to be a fun time. Big Engage coming in onto the Elise. Kind of hard to pull off. We got 3 members getting in there and using their ultimates, but nothing really landing as there's the Cocoon trying to turn it still onto Spirit, but the Rakan is so low, he's going to go down as the burst damage comes out from both Kiin and Spirit once again to pick up a kill, this time for another carry on Fly. And yes, Doran is pushing the top lane and picking up plates, but the plates don't give as much gold. He's still behind on CS, and Kiin is just all over the map. And still even on CS somehow.
Kiin is doing absolutely fantastic this game. Even Doran, you know, he can keep pushing as much as he wants, but again, like you just mentioned, turret plates, they do suck. They are only 120 gold now, and I mean, it's also so hard to really get all 5 plates nowadays that those will probably be the last plates that Doran ends up picking up unless they end up getting a Rift Herald and have it planted top lane. And so far, I mean, in this game, though, 3 kills have actually unfolded. But when you take a look at the gold score at the top, Afreeca is only riding them about 500, 600 after all the waves are consumed. So it's not like DragonX are super far behind, even though they've had some very explosive kills.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you take a look at elsewhere on the map, the mid lane and the bottom lane are winning in CS for the side of DragonX, and top lane is going even, whereas they have picked up some more plates. So we're going to take a look at the replay here. Spirit doing a fantastic job just escaping for so long.
Yeah, and I mean, they land the Cocoon onto Chovy. He got locked up for a little bit too long, and then Vel'Koz just does so much damage, and he threatens it as well. Heck, GLP picked up 4 Fly here.
Yeah.
Really nice little item.
It just feels like, you know, we were highlighting Kiin's role in this game so far. He TPs to the bottom side, picks up a couple of assists. He is a key factor in picking up both of those kills. I'm not sure that they could have done it without him. And then he's in the mid lane again, and I'm sure DragonX is kind of like, oh, what's going on with this top difference? Why is the top laner everywhere? That's exactly what they'd be saying if this were a solo queue game. I guarantee it. Whereas Doran's just sitting in the top lane. Kiin is literally in every single lane and in the jungle. And he was heading down here once again to help out with the dragon, whereas Doran, he's up here doing the Rift Herald. So that is going to be the Ocean Dragon Soul that will be confirmed here in this game. And Afreeca's already only 2 away from picking that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting... Okay, it got very low, ended up being secured by DragonX. Doesn't even seem like we're going to have a fight over it. Now, they could just bring it up to top lane to try to crack the turret, get the first turret gold as well. Or Pyosik might end up just farming his wolf camp, transitioning towards bottom, picking up his red, and then trying to plant it down in bot lane to give Deft all of the plates. Because this might end up just becoming a game that drags on until the next Ocean Dragon, and then we need to have an explosive fight, because if Afreeca picks that up, all of a sudden, every dragon there forward is match point Drake.
Ooh, gonna go with that Death Ray. He actually misses a bit. The Rise does put his Nikes on and run away from that one with the Phase Rush. Either way, we will have the channeling of the Rift Herald up here in the top lane. We do see Kiin trying to get Doran out of this, but it is a Mordekaiser, so he is going to be able to sustain. There goes the charge. Only getting the 2 plates so far. Not sure that he can actually pick up that last one, but so far, 4 total plates in the top lane going the way of Doran alone.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that was not shared at all, so it's 120 times 4, which is 480.
Yeah, I know you're from America, Brendan.
I know,
Don't make it too obvious.
I had a little bit of brain delay there because I am from NA. I'm sorry about that, guys. It's just built into my very being. Sorry about that. But either way, in all seriousness, Doran is getting a massive amount of gold in the top side, and it's showing on the gold meters up at the top side that, in fact, DragonX is exactly
they're
even
ahead
with
in
Afreeca
gold right now. Yeah, and the thing is you look at the Afreeca champions, none of them build resistances. Absolutely none of them. Now,
he's going to get the last plate,
he's going to get the last plate and the first. That's a lot of gold. This Mordekaiser he's very fed. He's a big boy. He's like, I don't even actually know what he's like. He's something. He's something.
He's something.
He's actually Arthas.
You really landed on something there.
He's
That's
the
good.
Lich King right now in this game.
Yeah, he's like the Lich King at Thanksgiving.
There. Yeah.
He's having fun. He's fed. He's strong, and that is a big boy in the top lane, thicker than Timmy Kench, and he's gonna have a fun time in this game.
Yeah, well,
for sure.
He has Proto Belt. He has Sork penetration boots. He already has a Seeker's arm guard. And we'll see what happens in the explosive team fight, because this is the part of the game where things get really scary. This is why you pick the Mordekaiser. It's for this point in the game, the mid-game transition, where champions want to start building towards their second core item. And with Mordekaiser, he basically says, do you have a Quicksilver Sash? Sort of like the IRS. He comes in and he taxes you really quickly.
Yeah.
You know?
And most of the time, the enemy team doesn't do their taxes. But there is one guy, actually, on the side of Afreeca that has done their taxes.
Yeah, he's the guy that needs it most.
It's Mystic.
Yeah. So he's an honest person right now.
Yeah.
You know, he's not trying to do any evasion right here, as he has the QSS. He's ready for the team fight. But the problem is that I really think Mordekaiser will just gun for Vel'Koz, and that'll end up being his primary Death Realm target. Alternatively, I guess the Elise can end up being a Death Realm target, even though she can go up inside of her spider web. But also, take a look at Chovy's itemization right now. He has Abyssal Mask, which is a bit interesting because Vel'Koz, I mean, yes, you get added resistances against the Vel'Koz and the Elise, but you shouldn't ever really be in range to do anything with the Vel'Koz, and if you're getting hit by him, the resistances aren't doing super much anyway. But
Yeah.
45 seconds now until Ocean Dragon, so we'll see what ends up unfolding there. By the way, interesting to note, Jarvan is Tank Jarvan this game,
Yeah.
not AD,
I was taking
which
a
is a
look at
little
that.
scary. Because I think if he's Glass Cannon and he just bursts the Vel'Koz or bursts the Varus instantly, it makes things a lot easier.
Speaking of bursting the Varus.
All right, well, that was a rumble.
That's a gank.
Yeah, that was something.
Oh, man. I knew they were realm warping down, but then 4 of them come out. The poor Varus, man. He even flashed. He tried to get out of that. I'm like, no, man, you're dead. Doesn't matter if you have a turret. Doesn't matter if you have 2 turrets.
That was definitely a bit interesting, and this means that DragonX, they're going to be the ones to pick up Ocean Dragon. Had a little sneeze again. I'm super sorry there, Veldes.
So Kiin has teleport, and again, the top tier one is not always the most. Why are they backing?
What is going on?
I don't know. That was their Drake to take. It was free. Take the Drake and then back, but it seems like they're really worried about giving up turrets instead. I mean, other than the turrets, there is no other objective on the map.
What are they rushing to right now?
Yeah. Even the Rift Herald surely is...
Do they want the Drake to force a fight? That's the only thing I can imagine, but why would you want to why would you gamble?
So the only thing I can see that they may have gained is keeping the mid-tier 1.
That's completely irrelevant, though. Mid-tier 1 at this point of the game, it's 500 gold.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just like, maybe that was their thought process coming into this.
Are they just going to lose the dragon?
If they wanted to force a fight, nobody's really in position here. Jarvan is out of position. We have TP coming in now, but they've already lost position on the Drake. Let's see who Doran is going to ult here. He's getting in. He's going to find the Vel'Koz, as you mentioned. Pyosik is basically just going to die. At least, though, zoned away. Down will go the Dragon to the side of DRX as at least not able to get in there. And Kiin is going 1v2. Spirit will go down, but DRX already eating so many losses in the fight. 3 members going down. And I don't think it's going to end there. The knockup's going to come down onto the Rise, pick up that bounty as Afreeca. They don't get the Dragon, but they get a bunch of kills on top of it.
They effectively almost get an ace because they have complete freedom on the map right now. They're going to be able to fix all the waves. They're absolutely going to get the mid-tier 1 turret here on this push here in mid lane. Top lane, fantastic. They're going to get the Scuttle Crab as well. All of their jungle camps have come back up, so they have something to go back to and farm. And I mean, I'm just scratching my head looking at this as to why they would have valued the mid-tier 1 over just getting the Ocean Dragon and avoiding this fight entirely.
I mean, they still had TP. They used the TP on the Ocean Dragon fight. If they wanted to, they could have taken the Ocean Dragon and then TP mid, if that was really the objective. But you and I are both scratching our heads here as to why this happened. Interesting colors here.
This is looking like the Death Realm, but
I know, it does.
Not,
I'm not sure if that's the reason. It's probably like some kind of replay bug.
Okay, well.
Everybody's in the Death Realm, including you and I.
Yes, we definitely are.
After seeing that call.
This is actually Lucifer Season 5, and this is our version of hell. We're watching this replay.
I'm just glad it's back to normal. I didn't want to deal with that anymore. That's, yeah, I mean, it's a questionable decision. We saw that, yes, the overall average age on the side of DRX, relatively low. It's like 19.2. I believe, as we're going to have an engage here. It looks like Braum is in a bit of trouble, really trying to lock him down alongside the Varus, but where is the damage? The stopwatch denies a bunch, and now Pyosik is going to take a bunch. He has to get away. He gets sniped from downtown by the Varus from so far away, and Kiin is just a monster in the front of this fight. He zones out 2 members for so long, and he's looking to pick up a kill. He's going to stay alive with the stopwatch. This guy is playing an unbelievable game of League of Legends, and he's just going to open so much space. I'm so glad the observer zooms in on Kiin. Yes, the triple kill went to the Varus, but that fight was all Kiin, creating so much space for his team.
And they're going to be able to convert this now into the Baron, so this is going to be an extremely early Baron capture, and it's going to persist into the next Ocean Dragon, which means that Afreeca should finally be able to get their hands on that one and then threaten the Soul, even though this probably won't lead to the current end of the game, but their advantage right now at this point is so big. We take a look at how this all starts off. So Jarvan tries to jump in onto the Braum. They lock up the Varus, but no one can get onto him. Rise eventually comes in, QSS, and Mystic says, hey, I have enough damage for you. Chovy eventually forced to back off. Misses some of the damage there onto the Renekton. Kiin just keeps going forward. Vel'Koz.
By the way.
Yeah, by the way.
By the by.
He hit Mordekaiser with a lot of knowledge right there.
Bill Nye
Yeah.
in alien form right there. Oh, boy. Yeah, just over the wall. That's what Vel'Koz can do. Quietly going 3-0-1 in this game. Although, really, Kiin has been the main highlight. Deft was zoned out the entire fight. And he's been zoned out the entire game, it seems, by this Renekton. You remember the bottom lane, he got TP'd on. The Dragon fight, he got flashed over the wall on. And then in that fight, he got chased through the jungle all the way through and then died underneath this turret to the Varus because the Renekton would just never, ever give him any room. And it's a beauty to see this champion played out this way and the map presence that Kiin has had in this game. And if he doesn't earn MVP,
there's
I'm not going to be happy, Ellis, okay?
We might both actually just walk out at that point. I'm not.
We're done. I quit.
Oh, man. Well, here's the final. Well, not the final, but maybe the final way that they elect to push up as the Ocean is coming up. So maybe they'll just turn around and go to it after getting this mid-tier 2 turret.
Yeah, might as well. I feel like we were talking about the value of Ocean Soul, or just Dragon Souls in general, but especially Ocean and Infernal. I think the Ocean Soul is a much bigger objective than taking any inhibitors or even inhibitor turrets down. I feel like right now Ocean Soul is the obvious objective you want to take, other than straight up winning the game. And when they were like, oh, we can't win the game, okay, let's go back, pick up the safe objective. They're not going to pull a T1 from yesterday. They're going to say, hey, let's get the Dragon Soul as soon as possible. And, well, Doran is in a bit of trouble. Goes into the Death Realm here. Spirit is just going to avoid that very nicely and takes him down one-on-one, essentially. Has a little bit of help from the Renekton to start things off. And there you do have it. Afreeca at the end of their Baron buff, sitting on 3 Dragon buffs, 1 away from that Ocean Soul, and stacking up their lead.
Yeah, and at this point, Chovy, he's just trying to push the side lanes and try to get as much gold as he possibly can, but when you look at what items next they're striving towards, they're just so far behind in the gold department that the fact that the Varus and the Renekton are so accelerated and it's not the Vel'Koz just makes it that much harder, because no one can already get onto the Vel'Koz, and with the Renekton being as beefy as he is at this point in the game, he's a threat as well as the Varus. And so now, rather than there just being realistically 1 threat, there's suddenly 3. And this is a byproduct of initially that Ocean Dragon was the fight that really just busted things wide open. So it's looking very grim if you're a DragonX fan. They're down 6,000 gold. It's 25 minutes, but you have to wonder, well, what is Jarvan really going to pick up that changes how he conducts himself at this point going forward? He's already going to be starved for gold because he's constantly getting shoved in. He's constantly having his teammates going to be wanting to eat his jungle camp, so maybe he's looking at a Knight's Vow. So he's still quite ways away. We're maybe 8 minutes or 10 minutes or so away from a Knight's Vow. What is Ryze really going to get at this point? Void Staff isn't even likely the best for him to pick up right now. What is Xayah going to realistically think about? So things are just looking really, really bad.
Yeah, you see GA picked up here for the Renekton. He was such a menace in every single team fight, and now when he dies, he's going to come back, and he's never going to go away. There's never going to be a time, unless this game gets to like 45 minutes, and they can just blow up the Renekton and the Elise when they move into them, because by that time, Ryze is going to have 4 items. The Xayah is going to have 4.5 items. So maybe at that point, you can just say, well, if you're going to come into us, we are just going to blast you to smithereens. But as you were talking about, these item timings are extremely far away. It's not something you can just pick up here, as Pyosik is going to have to back away from that one. One-on-one in the top side. Chovy already having a little bit of fun with this Renekton, and Doran is looking to make it even more interesting as he's sitting over here just over the wall, and he will be spotted, as I believe he was spotted earlier on by that ward. Kiin just backs away. No Baron just yet, but Pyosik did have to flash that cocoon to make sure he didn't die 4v3.
And it looks like they want to just...
Ooh, Kiin is just getting in there at 1v2. Doran gonna deny that. He's getting into the Death Realm, and look at this, the 4-on-3 underneath the turret up in the top side. Sniping him down is going to be both Spirit and Mystic, and by the way, Chovy and Doran desperately trying to kill this Renekton, will be able to in the end, but at what cost? As a couple of kills will happen in the top side, and Afreeca should move to the Baron.
Yeah, Afreeca, it does look like they are moving over to their Dragon. Now, the issue is that both Chovy and Doran, I mean, it really just looks like something out of a cartoon. It's just Ryze and Mordekaiser dual splitting with each other in 27 minutes. Oh, man.
They both wanted to go top lane, so one of them is trolling the other. That's what it looks like.
It really looks like something out of solo queue. They happen to stumble upon a kill, like they're Renekton. So,
but they're still yelling at each other the entire time.
So we take a look at how this all happens.
Ooh.
Deft didn't want to just give up the top tier 2 turret, even though it would have likely ended up being a trade.
Ooh.
With the Renekton going down. Also, he lost his Guardian Angel, which is a pretty big win. But when the Jarvan ended up dying as well, the turret went down, and now Afreeca with yet again another Baron. We're going to have to see what ends up happening. Keria setting up for maybe some guerrilla warfare tactics here. He's going to try to maybe go deep with the flank. And this is really just going to be the last stand. It also does look like Jarvan will be going into Knight's Vow. Picked up the Kindle Gem. I mean, I suppose it could go into Warmogs, but that would be way further away.
Yeah.
And yeah, here it is.
Ooh. Flash there as Chains of Corruption do come out. Ocean Drake, Ocean Rift is interesting. You get this extra buff around this Drake. We'll see if DragonX, who have position on it, can use it to win this fight. Pyosik, you can see, I thought he was going to stick around and make sure that he gets in there, but he's actually going to flag and drag out and miss that as the Ocean Soul goes the way. And yes, it's a big cataclysm, but it just doesn't matter. It is a total disaster in this fight for DragonX. Doran desperately trying to take Kiin out of the fight, but it kind of feels like his entire team is out of the fight as Chovy's pushing the wave. He's not even having this. He's like, I'm leaving you guys.
Chovy is just trying to drag the champions across the map, do whatever he can. Kiin's going to get him with the home guard. And the Elise is here for the flank, so Chovy's going to end up going down past the Seraphs, tries to do as much as he possibly can. Oh, but they got bottom turret.
Yeah, well.
So now, if there's some sort of a miracle ace team fight, and then provided that the minion waves are okay, I guess there could be a comeback. But that's if they manage to even stay alive right here.
They might just try to end.
I think Afreeca actually can just end. With Ocean Soul, they can definitely end. Death Realm isn't available. Yeah, this game's
wow. Pyosik is just like, yeah, I'm done. Big knock-up, double grip here. But that's going to be the end. As they're just going to line him up and knock him down. Vel'Koz, his most favorite moment of the game when nobody is pressuring him. GG as 21-3 is the kill score. 10,000 gold ahead. Afreeca demolish DragonX. That was not exactly a close game. After about 15 minutes, it was all Afreeca. And this team, slowly but surely, winning more and more games. I was taking a look at the win rates here in the KeSPA Cup. They were right below DragonX. DragonX 6-0 in terms of game score. And Afreeca only 6-1, and now they're actually going to move to 7-1 with an extra win on their shoulders. Kiin had an unbelievable game, and that's that kind of carry performance that you're looking for. Not sure exactly why the camera's on Mystic. Yes, he had a fun time casting Qs from range, but definitely I think the MVP should absolutely go to Kiin, as it's all back to the drawing board for DragonX with CV Max.
Yeah, and so we'll see what Game 2 is going to have in store for them. I mean, realistically,
okay, good.
This game did bust wide open around that Ocean Dragon. It's just such questionable decision-making out of DragonX in the mid-game. And even though they were getting pummeled early on, they obviously gave up some kills. They were never really out of the game until that point. That's when everything really snowballed out of control. And then also the itemization on Ryze, the itemization on Jarvan, not something that I was anticipating by any means. You had Jarvan going full tank against a team composition that eats tanks for breakfast. And it was just very, very bizarre how everything ended up panning out. But you have to give a lot of credit to Afreeca. They managed to accelerate the two champions that would then just create create a triple threat inside of their team composition. And Kiin obviously doing a phenomenal job on the Renekton.
Phenomenal job? That's what you said.
Come on.
What a phenomenal job.
This
I agree.
This is actually my favorite replay of all time. This looks like what is it? Help me on. You play WoW. Duskwood? What is it called? I can't even remember. I'm done.
Deadwind Pass?
No, not get out of here, Valdez. Honestly, ridiculous.
Yeah, Duskwood.
Yeah, Duskwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Duskwood.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically just the Kiin highlight show. Obviously, Mystic did a great job in his positioning. I think that's the biggest thing that I watched. That was really awesome to see. But so much, just the early game was owned by the Renekton. You assume you see Renekton Elise, you're like, okay, let's dive the top side. But the interesting thing was that, yes, they tried for a gank onto the Mordekaiser. They got the flash. And then they were like, well, we're not going to kill this guy, actually. We're not going to dive him. Let's get wins elsewhere on the map and unlock our Renekton. And that's exactly what did happen in game number 1.
Yeah. And so, I mean, here we had Kiin's attempted 1v2.
He almost did it, honestly.
Yeah, he really did. This this kind of felt like what, Iron Man. You know the 1-on-2 scene. You know what I'm talking about? You never watched Captain America?
No, definitely not.
I'm done with you. You're probably a DC fan.
Absolutely not.
Oh man, whatever.
A fan of any of those superheroes.
What?
My favorite superhero is Cassiopeia.
I don't even know what to reply to that. As we take a look at the damage dealt here, and not much really happened. And, you know, I actually do have to say that a lot of games in the KeSPA Cup do end up with blowouts in terms of the kill scores. It's been a pretty common trend going on here, but
Yeah.
Kiin dishing out enormous amounts of damage this game. As you can see, the Rai is obviously a bit lackluster. Couldn't really do anything this game. 4 dragons went the way of Afreeca. 2 barons, all that was necessary to close the game.
Yeah, and that's about it for game number 1. We'll see if the trend of Afreeca continuing to win continues after this break, as we will get into game number 2 right after that.
your competition with the infrared beam. And if that's not enough, experience real rapid-fire action with the Gel Bead Blaster. With the included interactive curriculum, anyone can learn how to code, teach it to move, recognize shapes, and a whole lot more.
Welcome back, guys. We are here at the LoL KeSPA Cup 2019 Ulsan. It's me, Valdez, with LS. And Afreeca come out with a statement in game number 1. They demolished, they smashed DragonX. It was not a close game after about 10, 15 minutes. And that man right there was a stone-cold killer. Kiin coming in on the Renekton, a relatively early pick for their side, the 3rd pick on red, trying to make it work. DragonX now have to go back to the drawing board. Their young lineup trying to make things work here at the KeSPA Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a very surprising start to this series. Obviously, I wasn't expecting it. I'm hoping it's not another opposite day, and it's another invent or invert. I'll never hear the end of it. So, Aurelia gonna be banned in the window for Afreeca. And DragonX now going to decide what to ban next. CV Max saying something.
Passionately telling one of his young players.
Monkas.
Nah, he's just getting in there. He cares. Syndra ban.
Syndra banned now by Afreeca. Akali banned away by DragonX.
Lucian? No Lucian. We don't see that anymore.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That I hope that Lulu and Karma and them all get buffed as well as Ardent Sensor. And I hope
Are
that
you sure about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd
Is
really
that
like-
really what you want?
I can't think of anything more I would want for Christmas. Okay.
All right. Maybe we could get that in the preseason.
Well, Lucian was banned away. Elise now following suit, being banned away by Afreeca. And Kiana now going to be the final ban for DragonX. We'll see what Afreeca want to open with. And it's going to be Misfortune. Is the initial pick. You can see her champion record there at the bottom. 14 wins, 8 losses. This does mean that we have the chance to see MF and Varus. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. A lot of diversity.
All is balanced and right in the universe.
A lot of diversity between these two. As Rumble locked in, so that's a champion that can be flexed in theory into 3 roles.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that's going to end up working out. Now, Braum.
I wonder who's going to go with the Varus then.
Stop. Just
Timoth.
Just, you're going to need to calm down right now, Valdez, as Braum is locked in. And Afreeca just have to decide what is going to be the final pick. They could just go with the jungler here and wait for more developments and then lock in top on 4-5. But it looks like Ornn, I'm already hashtag big fan right now.
Oh, yeah.
As Ornn is coming in. So
if it's Ornn jungle, we're just going to have to...
I might need to kick you off the cast.
You can just talk the whole time.
I can take over.
This can turn into one of those YouTube videos where it's just like Ornn jungle training.
So at this point, Thresh being hovered by DragonX is
okay.
going to actually be locked in here. So we're still having a slight handshake in the bottom lane. So Braum is going to go unpunished yet again. And we're going to move into the second ban phases here. Now, the interesting thing about Ornn is that in theory, yeah, Thresh's win rate not doing so hot. But you know what? Yesterday, we saw the 1-in-9 Olaf win rate get turned on its head. All right, were you watching?
He almost got more kills than he had losses.
Exactly. So, you better watch your mouth. As DragonX now, they're going to try to pinch the jungle pool. Now, this is the interesting thing, is that Afreeca's initial 3 picks, in theory, because Ornn can go mid-top jungle, it makes it very hard to pinch. Although I'm very doubtful that Ornn would show up inside of the jungle. But the jungle pool is being pinched even more now, and so if Afreeca had the ability to move Ornn to that role...
I mean, it is Spirit as well,
It is Spirit, yeah. So I guess that there's maybe a little higher chance than normal. And then we could end up seeing Kindred come out. Kindred is actually one of the better champions to Ornn jungle. And Pyosik obviously was originally a Kindred one-trick on the Korean ladder. Poppy now getting banned away. I'm actually liking this diversification here.
Yeah. It's not that same old that we're so used to. And the Poppy,
And,
specific target against Spirit.
Doesn't last too long, okay? As Lee Sin.
Oh, no, not an LS being picked.
Lee Sin
Get
is...
it, 'cause it's Lee Sin.
Yeah, I get it. I got it, Valdez.
Okay.
That was very
I just
good.
wanted to make sure you got it.
You made a funny.
Thanks.
You'd like to go out for dinner after? I wouldn't join you.
Oh, okay. We'll see. McDonald's again?
Yes. All right. Well,
Oh, okay.
Kennen.
How about Orn mid?
Well, or it could still be Orange Jungle.
Yeah, it's still
you better
good.
hold your breath.
I don't know. That's just like, that would be very interesting if they actually
It
went
would-
for that. Oh,
Not like
yes.
Not like this.
Yes. My favorite Viking. Olaf. You know, we were talking about results-based analysis. They saw that last game yesterday, and they're like, oh, boy, I know who we're picking. Coming in with the quick 2 and 9.
Oh. All right. So they're hovering Atrox right now. And they swap it over to
nice.
Vladimir. All right. So I have a little bit more faith in what's going on right now. So the thing about Ornn, though, is all of these champions don't get particularly good Ornn items. We also saw a game in the KeSPA Cup where the team elected not to build Ornn items.
I can't believe that actually
That
happened.
was that was a very peculiar game. But
Were you casting that game?
yes, it was something. So
I'm sorry.
Kennen likely going to have Zanya's Hourglass. If he gets really far ahead, he could go Death Cap, which would be the best Ornn item upgrade for Kennen. But in terms of late game scaling, at least some of the Ornn items will help out a little bit. Olaf obviously likely to have the Black Cleaver. Kennen going to have the Zanya's Hourglass.
What about Molten Edge?
What more? Yeah, so Misfortune is actually going to get another really good item for herself as well. But remember, I talked about yesterday defensive Rumble ultimates. Well, the same is going to work for Vladimir. So there's a lot of gears available to DragonX, whereas Afreeca, they want to press the Ornn ult, they want to go in, they want to combo it with the Kennen and the MF. They only have one direction, and that's forward. And so we better hope that they don't fall behind.
Well, I feel like I've heard you say that many times before. And here in the semifinals, it's gone many different ways. Teams that have aggressive comps, passive comps, scaling comps, they've all won before. We'll see who takes the cake here going into game number 2 of Afreeca up against DragonX. Back onto the Rift. Hanadu set, Afreeca fighting, Hanadu set, DragonX fighting. Very, very even cheers going both ways. As this might not be an even level 1. We saw what Olaf can do at level 1 in our lifetime of League of Legends. Over 10 years now with the game.
Oh man, that really just hits you in the feels.
Yeah.
It really does. 10 years. As we're looking for some proactivity going on here, as they haven't been spotted yet. I actually don't know if they see Deft. But everything so far has been very safe by both parties. And Afreeca don't look like they're actually going to be able to find anything, so they're just going to transition, I assume, into a normal start spellbook on Ornn. 4 fly here. And Chovy with Conqueror on Rumble. So we'll see how this ends up working out. Teleport on him as well. And he's also playing Super Galaxy Rumble skin. Okay, so I don't know how you feel about that. But
Is that a big win for you?
that is that's definitely a big win for me. You know, I talk about this with Atlas sometimes, but I'll talk about it with you. I'll let you in on it. It reminds me of Sonic.
Yeah.
You know?
What it was you and I that said this. No, it was me and Atlas. Okay, no, it wasn't you. We were
right.
talking about, he said Eggman, and I said Dr. Robotnik.
No, that was me and you.
No, it
think.
wasn't.
Really?
Yeah, it was me and him.
I guess we had the same conversation sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe he mentioned it, and then you guys had a conversation
Maybe
about
he's
it.
just recycling old jokes.
I think he's... Is Atlas recycling?
Oh, man.
Is he environmentally conscious?
I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to just waste those jokes, right? You got to get the most out of them.
Yeah, exactly. Same way
you know.
that Spirit's getting the most out of his sweeping lens right now. He used that right there to take down a ward.
Yeah. Didn't get much out of it early game at the level 1. Wanted to make sure they weren't spotted going for the shenanigans in the bottom side, but this time around, Will, as he's just farming up. Top lane is going to be interesting. Doran getting the counter pick into the Kennen up in the top side. I suppose we could have seen Fly play the Kennen. If I'm not mistaken, I think he actually did play Kennen once before in the mid lane. I think that was Fly. Might have been someone else. I mean, we see it very rarely.
Kennen mid, yeah, it's not as popular as it used to be in former years for quite many reasons. Mostly the lane's distance, the proximity to both of the turrets. It's not really as favorable for Kennen's Lightning Rush, being able to dog down people inside of the lane. But then also, he just doesn't have enormous amounts of roam potential inside of mid, so putting him up in top inside of the isolated island, especially his range with a lot of the favorable matchups that he can have there, it just usually ends up being good. He doesn't fare super well against a lot of mages. He'll be fine up there. But first dragon of the game's Ocean. And so we will not be getting an Ocean Soul this game. That's
Unfortunate.
It's not going to be on the menu, Valdez.
Yeah. No more pretty riffs, as Atlas loves to mention. The flowers that join all the brushes, the extra brushes we get, and the extra plants that do join us on the rift. I'm a fan of the Infernal, actually. I think it looks pretty cool.
I actually, yeah, I like the Infernal Dragon a lot more aesthetically, I think, than any other dragon except, well, Ocean's really good too. Cloud doesn't really do anything for me. I gotta be honest with you.
Cloud, it just becomes kind of windy.
Yeah, I don't.
It's like not that
one
interesting, you
doesn't-
know?
Yeah. I would actually really like more dragons in the game
You think so?
than
How
just
many,
the
like
4
6?
Like 6 or 7 or something.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
How about like a lightning dragon?
Oh, I don't even know where you would go with that one, but something. Maybe
It's like when you get attacked, you do damage to the enemy.
Well, that's what the soul does. Right? The Infernal Soul?
What? No. That's when you attack the enemy, you do extra damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you get attacked,
Oh,
your
it
enemy
zaps
takes
them.
Yeah, it zaps them. It gives you
Ooh.
like a
Ooh,
like a
that would
lightning
be-
shield. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. All right, Valda. I was thinking like a cooldown or like just a general cooldown reduction Drake, not just the ultimate cooldown. Maybe something like that would.
I think that would be pretty hard to balance, though, right?
Yeah, maybe that
So
actually.
cooldown reduction is one of the strongest stats in the game.
Well, what about an HP dragon? Hold on.
Well, how about a dead rumble here as Chovy is not going to flash it. He knows he's dead, actually. Knew that the axe was available. And Ornn, one of the best lanes to gank for, it turns out, as he's got an insane amount of knockups and CC, whereas Olaf doesn't, but has a lot of chase down potential, but able to get behind Chovy. It looked like Chovy wasn't expecting that at all, and it's just a straight-up 2-on-1 kill for First Blood.
And Ornn, he already has his Catalyst. He has the Null Magic Mantle. I mean, things are just going to get really rough now for Rumble every single time he's in this lane. Anytime Fly has his ultimate, Rumble should be dead, as long as Fly is always pulling the wave, and that's exactly what just happened here. He doesn't even try to flash. He knows that he's dead regardless,
Yep.
so he's going to save his flash for a better moment, and this is a byproduct of the lane manipulation that ended up leading to or led up to that, so...
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in top lane, Kennen doing okay against Vladimir. Has a slight CS advantage, although there is a wave coming in.
Why don't we ever see Ornn support?
Well, so the thing about Ornn's support is that normally when you're picking Ornn, you're picking him for his items, not just his
okay.
ultimate. And so because supports take longer to get to level 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, it's counterproductive to have him inside of the support role. It's not that he can't go there if you're just using him for his ult, but obviously you would be definitely stunting some of the other aspects that he offers in 3 of the other roles.
Yeah. And especially with the less XP now in the shared bottom lane. Oh, that Q's going to sail wide. Jelly not able to land it. Jelly, by the way, ooh, that's a nice hit there on the backside of his Q. Forgot the name halfway through what I was saying. And now we have Spirit on the chase here. Looks like he's got Predator up and running. And he is going to let him go.
Yeah, Fly was not quite in range to do anything, and also his ultimate still not yet available, so not able to do anything there quite yet.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't know exactly where Lee Sin was either. They didn't want to chase too far, so just let him go.
Pyosik is just having a pretty hard time right now achieving anything, and so this is a Lee Sin that is just scaling. Now, he does have Conqueror, and so he will be a bit more effective in the later stages of the game than his counterpart in the jungle, Olaf. But not a lot of action has unfolded. And honestly, I wouldn't expect to see anything happen until around 15 minutes. We might have a skirmish right here.
Spirit not going to land that Q to pick up the blue. And it's not the biggest deal that you take that away from the Rumble, who's not necessarily going to use it all too much. Lee Sin picks that one up. And just the fighting does end there. So DragonX not going to let Afreeca just run through their jungle to begin with here. And yeah, I mean, the first blood gets Afreeca a slight little lead, but the Rumble doing really well in terms of CS. That's the biggest gap I see currently on the map here, about 15 ahead in the mid lane.
Yeah. The Rumble is doing quite well in that, and so it's sort of invalidating almost the kill that Ornn has over him. And probably going to be going Leandri's is the first item for Chovy as Ornn does proceed towards the Abyssal Mask, but 2.5 minutes until the Infernal Dragon.
Ooh, Fly trying to get out of this one. Predicts with the flash, but can he actually survive with the Equalizer coming up here? It's not even going to knock up Pyosik. As a call of the Forge God, Pyosik did get behind it. Wouldn't have saved him anyway, as we trade kills in the mid lane, 2-on-1 with the junglers doing their job. Nice little catch there in the river. We'll have to take a look as, okay, another Chains of Corruption are going to come down here. Jelly able to not pass that one over to Mystic, and Lee Sin not able to get there on time. So no further ganking coming in. Definitely have to see why Fly was in the river to begin with in the replay, but other than that, just trading kills in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, the game state not super awful for DragonX, but I would imagine, like I was saying, Afreeca should be favored for the Infernal Dragon fight coming up here in just a bit. As Doran, interestingly enough, the Infernal Dragon, or not the Infernal, the Ocean Dragon is actually helping Doran out a lot more in this lane than typically it does for most lane matchups. And the bot lane for Afreeca just trying to shove in DragonX right now and maybe look for a better recall to get more items before the Infernal. But meanwhile, Afreeca, they're going to try to pick up the Rift Herald. They have a minute until they have to really consider the Drake. So if they can pick that up and crash it into mid lane, that would probably be the most ideal. You don't actually want to capture the top turret. Now, they might do it, so I'm not doubting that they'll come up here and place the Herald and capture the top turret, but that would end up giving Vladimir a completely free lane post-Dragon that you can't do anything to influence him with.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what they're going to end up doing. So they're going to accelerate the cannon, as you can see in the live cam. They're going to get the First Blood turret gold. They're going to get the remaining 3 plates. So they pick up quite a lot of gold for themselves, and that'll obviously accelerate the cannon and the Olaf. But now, after Dragon goes down, the top lane is virtually inaccessible for both parties, which will end up favoring Vladimir 10 seconds now until the Infernal Dragon, and Deft right on time with his recall. Sarcasm, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there.
You have to be very clear about that. You know, you don't want to give people the wrong idea. They're listening. They're like, oh, LS said that he was going.
Had they just started the Infernal Dragon immediately, it would already be half HP, and Ornn and Olaf would not just be in position to do anything. But this is a byproduct of the poor recall timing by Deft, and so now we're going to have a legitimate skirmish over this fight. Afreeca should be favored in this, but not if they just lose a member right at the start. Now Olaf won't have his ult available.
Ragnarok down.
Yeah.
He's also down a level on Pyosik.
Yeah.
Chains of Corruption going to come in once again into the hook and flay Jelly in a lot of trouble, but double TP coming in. Can the stopwatch keep him alive? The answer could potentially be yes, but in goes Doran looking for the kill. It's not going to pan out for him as he's getting stunned up and denied for so long, but he gets in that one. Such a close fight, but then Kiin with the perfect timing on that slicing maelstrom. Chovy in the backline going to get stunned up. Trying to get into the little alcove here, but Fly is on the chase, and the slow is going to land. Another kill, a double going the way of the Ornn in the mid lane.
And so even though that fight started out really good for DragonX, once the Ornn and Kennen arrive, it's sort of like the Avengers in Endgame just showing up. There's not really a lot going on there for DragonX. They can't answer the Ornn and the Kennen at this stage of the game. Vladimir doesn't have enough items. Rumble isn't strong enough. And so in a straight-up team fight, even though everything was going really well, Olaf's down a level, Olaf's down Ragnarok at the very start of this fight, we take a look at how it all transpires. Chains comes out onto Olaf, the box flayed by Thresh. Braum ultimate comes down, so Olaf and Braum are basically out of the fight. MF ultimate plus Ornn plus Kennen, I mean, it just parts everything. It's dividing them all like a wall, and they can't fight inside of it because their champions aren't strong enough yet. And so this is why I was mentioning if they just tried to burst the Infernal down and play against Olaf's recall timer from the Herald attempt into top turret, maybe they could have gotten the Infernal and maybe lost one life or so. But instead, they prepared for a team fight that they should never realistically be able to win.
Especially when you dump so much damage and ultimates into a Braum. How many times have we seen that where a Braum will get caught, in quotes, and he puts his shield up, is unbreakable, sits there, nearly dies, stopwatches, because it's a fantastic item on Braum for baiting this exact kind of thing. And then Jelly got away with like a sliver of health. He baited Doran to hemoplague a bunch of people just to get exhausted and flash forward and then essentially almost die towards the end and be out of the fight. And it was just kind of broken because so much stuff was sent into Jelly when they shouldn't have even been starting the fight, as you mentioned before. So kind of interesting decisions for sure on the side of DRX, as Afreeca going to earn themselves another lead here in the fight. I was also a big fan of Kiin's timing on the slicing maelstrom. He didn't just go head first like a lot of people would, like the second, he TPs in. No, he backed away, tried to kite the Vladimir, and then once the rest of DRX got baited into the fight, then he jumped on them, and he earned his team 2 kills because of that, got himself 1 kill. Now he's got a Gunblade and a needlessly large rod at 15 minutes. The guy is already getting on top of his items and feeling pretty good about himself again.
Yeah, the Kennen is just really, really big right now. Kiin is going to be quite oppressive even in coming moments here. And the thing is with Afreeca, they're going to end up getting triple Mountain Dragon. Now, Ornn and Olaf, they do build resistances. Kennen already has the Merc Treads. He's going to end up building the Zhonya's, and then his Zhonya's is going to get upgraded. So Mountain Dragon is actually going to be really nice at invalidating Vladimir. Vladimir's not going to be able to go for his all-in dive engage with Phase Rush and his ultimate and proc all of his abilities when the enemy team has lots of amplified resistances, and then if they eventually get to Mountain Soul. So these are very legitimate ticking time bombs that DragonX has to genuinely worry about. But likewise, if DragonX can get all of these mountain resistances, it goes the same way. Kennen will get invalidated. for the most part. Misfortune probably will still deal damage, but then Olaf and Ornn are going to be laughing stocks Braum
Yeah,
as well.
they're not going to do anything.
Nothing is going to end up being achieved.
All of the damage, I'm glad that you point that out, is in Kiin and Mystic in this game. I mean, Olaf can if he goes legendary, but as you can see, did go Cinderhulk into essentially the cape there. So just going to be extremely tanky and be a front line for this Afreeca team. Whereas already their carries are getting quite fed, although that Hex Drinker, an interesting item choice here for MF. When you are going up against Vladimir and Rumble, it's not a bad choice, I suppose, but it is going to certainly hinder the build, slow it down, and have her get, you know, stuff like Infinity Edge and Molten Edge potentially as an upgrade a lot later on in the game.
Yeah, and it definitely is a bit peculiar to see, but I think that what Mystic is trying to do is just have that added resistances for this next Mountain Dragon fight.
True. Actually,
And
I didn't
so
even consider that.
The Rumble in the Vladimir is going to have a lot harder time doing anything to her inside of this fight because she's going to have the EHP from the Hex Drinker passive and then the resistances as well. So definitely don't think that Hex Drinker into Maw of Malmortius is that bad, especially if you just keep stacking Mountain Drakes and ramping all of the magic resistance against the Rumble and the Vlad. So
yeah.
We'll see what ends up happening. Ornn is already busted, by the way. He just got... I think that the number is something over 3,500, 3,900 or something in terms of value from the Ornn items that he just ended up getting. Yeah, so these items are absolutely insane. I could be wrong there. I think there's some tweet or something that talks about all of Ornn's items.
Yeah.
But this is definitely oh man, this
Take a
is
look at the
awful formation right now for DragonX.
Yeah, they're all just bunching up. That Hemoplague not going to do anything. The Call to Forge God only getting Lee Sin though. But take a look at the Vlad doing 0 in this fight. It's Mystic and Jelly just 2v1ing him the entire time. A massive bullet time is going to zone them all away. So many flashes on the defense by the side of DRX. Afreeca just laugh at them, take a kill, take the Mountain Drake. Now the equalizer is thrown out as kind of an afterthought. And now Chovy's out of position. Had that axe landed, which was kind of funny that it didn't.
Ooh.
But they're still going to go as Chovy did have his flash and the Thresh. So trying to just get a little bit of extra damage. TP comes in to deny any push.
Hit.
And it did. Chovy now in a lot of trouble.
Doing.
He's going to get exhausted. He looks tilted, to be honest, after that fight. And who wouldn't be tilted after this one? As we're looking for the dive, this game might just be shut down right now as Kiin doesn't want to go any farther, picks up the double kill. They get a couple more. Rift Herald coming down, and now they're getting Baron at 20 minutes.
They're getting Baron again at 20 minutes. They're going to have Mountain Soul this game if it even gets to that point. They have Ornn items. Their champions are built to resist the all-in from Rumble and Vladimir. This game is... It's looking real doomed. Chovy is definitely tilted this game. There's no reason for him to be that separated from the team. It really looks like in solo queue when that one teammate just wants to FF and you won't accept the surrender vote. And so he's doing something that isn't totally inting, but...
It's not reportable, right?
It's not reportable.
Absolutely not reportable.
All right, we're going to take a look at this again. And I mean, the formation from this is just absolutely horrendous. Everything is perfect for Ornn and for Kennen. And even though Kennen loses a lot of HP, Doran, I mean, I guess that's why you never heard about Doran in Summoner's Rift. And he's over on the right-hand side, gets completely eliminated. Lee Sin sucks, so he can't really do anything against this team composition as is. And Afreeca just get to have their way. And watch Chovy.
He went in there, he killed the ward.
It really feels like right now, they're like, please, 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 don't.
Please back, please. He's standing
Black,
next to the turret as TP's coming in.
Please.
What are you doing?
He flashed so that he can't be reported. That's what, you know.
God, yeah.
He's just having a bad day, smiley face.
You're bringing back some bad memories,
It's
man.
not negative
some
gaming,
bad memories.
Valdez. Please.
Oh, God. It's so true, though. Like, oh, man, Chovy, what is going on? You know, he's a player that had some troubles with mentality in the 2019 season. Now he's on DRX, and
no one's
especially in
items.
best of fives. I mean, we've seen this before. I remember I was against SKT, when they were SKT, now T1. And by game 2, he was already mental boom on Lysandra. I remember that series like it was the other day. And now here we are again in another best of 5, and they lose another team fight after losing game 1, and it looks like he's mental boom again. I mean, it's really sad to see. Nothing against the guy personally, but Chovy's a great player. I just wish he could make it actually, get a little bit of strength, mental strength potentially, as he gets older here. Now struggling is DRX as the pushes are coming from every which angle. And this game feels like it's all but over. There's an Oblivion Orb now on the Kennen.
Well, this is definitely going to be a little bit interesting. Now, actually, I mentioned no one built Ornn items, but the Locket of the Iron Solari was built by Jelly and upgraded. It's one of the...
Okay, trying to land here onto Kiin. He does not have a stopwatch, but he's still going to kill Chovy and did huge damage in the backline anyway. You forgot about everybody else on this team as well. Everybody had their eyes on Kiin. But it just doesn't matter. This is going to be a clean ace as Olaf, your best friend, picks up the triple kill. This game is over by a mega mile, as pushing in now is Afreeca with the Baron buff. Don't think they're going to be able to end the game, but they're certainly going after this inhibitor and pushing hard.
Well, they might be able to actually get a Nexus turret, and even if it cost them one member, that would still be ideal. They're not actually going to push on for it. This is one of those things that it happens very rarely in pro play, but I love to talk about it every time it comes up. If you get one Nexus turret, the super minion by itself threatens to end the game. One Nexus turret cannot hold off super minions. We're taking a look at the replay here. And Afreeca are just so far ahead, it doesn't matter. Ornn is a beautiful champion. So if we're talking about result-based analysis, I hope everyone's watching this
Ornn.
champion inside of the game, because he's busted in 3 roles: top, jungle, and mid. Ornn is absolutely one of the best. And so now this is going to be the second Mountain Dragon. And if you take a look at the items across the board, everyone has a little bit of resistances going on. DragonX, they want to give Afreeca one more clean ace right here. So they're going to line up for the Ornn ult. just give it a little bit. Kennen's going to come in through the front door. It's going to fit like a glove.
He doesn't have TP, so he's just going straight in the front.
Hold on, like a glove.
They're waiting for his flash, potentially. It's about
Just
10
5
seconds away.
and the game ends.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Hold on. Here we go.
All right.
You heard the horn or what?
Line him up. He's only going to get the one.
He only
Forces
got
the
one.
pool out of Doran.
That was a bit lackluster.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Nice flash,
that
Curry.
was not a good flash.
Spirit's going to stay in the pit, trying to get that damage done. Fly just doesn't take damage here. Gets the double knockup, but Vlad and the equalizer into the back line. Have they done it? Deft is going to push Kiin away, but it just doesn't matter. They're too far ahead. They're just smacking them with their wallets as the triple kill comes in. 5-1 and 9 is Mystic. A triple for Mystic, a double for Kiin, and that, ladies and gentlemen, will be the end of the game here at about 25.5 minutes.
Valdez, I mean, this is looking very, very one-sided so far. This is going to be another very decisive second win here.
It's 2 stomps in a row.
And if you want to talk about result-based analysis, the Nexus is going down shortly after Kennen purchased Morellonomicon this game. So
there you go. Best item in the game. It ends games individually.
yeah, that's what I think I just found out what's on the first page.
Yeah.
So pretty much it. Now, DragonX looked extremely tilted in this game, and I don't know what to think going into game number 3. Is it just gonna be a really fast 3-0? Is the caster curse alive and well? Chovy is not amused. He's the only one not talking with teammates. He's just sort of in his own. I mean, it sort of looks like his Rumble in mid lane.
It almost looks like they're avoiding talking to him, and he's avoiding talking to anyone else as well. It's kind of sad to see. But I think he knows as well that he didn't have the best game.
He's extremely tilted this game. Started off with him getting killed in mid lane. He couldn't even flash out of it. And honestly, the lane state did look pretty awful. So maybe he wanted help fixing it and then didn't get it.
Pyosik
ended
was
up
kind of
dying.
absent in the game as well.
Well, I mean, he's Lee Sin, so, you know, I mean.
What do you mean?
I hope
top tier in this meta,
Yeah.
LS.
So-
You got to listen to these pro players. They know what they're talking about.
Well, at this point, I mean, you take a look at
This
this
is
lane
the
state.
lane
Where's Lee
fixing.
Sin?
Yeah.
He's on his Gromp during this. And it's just a really easy kill right there. Chovy, not level 6. Couldn't quite just equalize with the wave and walk away from it. And then right here, they were able to get a kill onto Fly. They salvaged that right back. But even this fight, this was the lineup where they had just gotten the turret up in top lane. You know that the Dragon was coming next. And then DragonX just... They had things start off really well for them, but there was just no answer to the Kennen and the Rumble. Or the Kennen and the
timing.
Ornn. Yeah.
Yeah, the timing here was perfect. Ken and Ornn seems to work out pretty well together, as you would imagine in some of these team fights. And the way Afreeca is taking them is incredibly confident. Just baiting the enemy team into it and then turning it, flipping it on its head. Essentially neutralizing the Vladimir in multiple fights. You notice the exhaust was picked up by the Braum. Not, you know, that's not picked up for the Varus in the lane for any trades or anything like that. That's specifically for team fights. Another great timing here on the knock-up. Perfect dive coming in from Afreeca. And as you mentioned, this is just looking extremely one-sided, even more so than yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really don't know if DragonX is going to be able to come back in the series. Now, SKT, or SKT, I mean, in summer they
mean
finished,
T1?
but now they're T1. And so T1 yesterday, not quite the same team anymore, but they did win in game number 3, but then ended up losing in game 4. So we'll see if DragonX can bounce back, or if it really is just going to be a really clean 3-0. And honestly, that would produce a finals that I wonder if there were pick'ems for this event, how many people would actually have got someone that got completely plastered might have been able to anticipate
Yeah, I mean,
this exact sequence of events.
you got a little bit too freaky, if
Yeah.
you will. The Afreeca Freecs get it.
And then-
Yeah, I mean, they're getting pretty.
yeah, look at everyone laughing.
Yeah. All those chairs, man. They
Cut to
love
break,
me.
please.
Guys, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, game 3, we'll see if Afreeca can close it out or if DragonX can overcome this deficit.
battlefield. Dominate your competition with the infrared beam. And if that's not enough, experience real rapid-fire action with the Gel Bead Blaster. With the included interactive curriculum, anyone can learn how to code. Teach it to move, recognize shapes, and a whole lot more.
We are back here at the KeSPA Cup, and it is a slaughter so far. This is not what we were expecting, but Afreeca are just rolling over DragonX with a steamroller. Not close. 2 games in a row. And the question remains, I mean, DragonX coming into this, the big favorites, but now, after getting stomped like this, not just once, which is what I was expecting, you know, Afreeca coming strong once and then DRX pull it back and then show they're the better team. That's not what's happening at all. It is very one-sided. And DragonX, they have something big to prove here if they want to have, you know, a bit better of a reputation going into LCK for 2020.
Yeah, so I don't really, I mean, they look a bit down in spirits right now, so we'll see maybe what the draft has in store for us and if they can get any sort of difference going, because Chovy, this is twice now where he's been in matchups where he doesn't really have a lot of control over the lane matchup in general, and so he's really been locked in, and he's one of the main focal points for DragonX, and so when you have Doran going up against Kiin in the top lane, not that Doran is bleeding out or anything like that, obviously though Kiin still just has a lot of control over what's happening, and if these bans and picks continue with the same way that they're going, I think that the level of play that DragonX is displaying here today might suggest that they'll just get knocked out 3-0 by Afreeca.
Yeah, which is absolutely not the expected situation coming into this one. And yeah, I mean, Kiin is just, he's not only controlling just the top lane, he is controlling the entire Rift. I mean, he is everywhere and at the right times and with the correct mechanics and timings. So it's a big menace for them to deal with, and if they don't have Chovy either, as you mentioned, it's kind of a sad sight to watch, as we're going to have some different bans. Just the one, actually, Rek'Sai is going to be banned instead of Qiyana. MF still going to be the first pick here by Afreeca, as they're back on the blue side.
These types of draft nuance changes are always so confusing to me. Well, it actually just looks like they wanted to maybe bait Afreeca into picking the Qiyana. It doesn't seem like they want it for themselves or anything, which would have been my initial reaction to what was happening.
We saw MF and Qiyana working really well together alongside a Rumble. Not going to be the pick this time around, though. They go for the Braum. Jelly now, I think this is his 7th game. Yeah, it's his 7th game of Braum. He's also played 2 games of Tahm Kench. He only plays these kinds of defensive supports, and it's been working out really well for him, to be honest. Did a great job of baiting in the bottom side back there in game number 2. We are going to have keria back on Thresh. I thought his Thresh was decent. It didn't shine or do anything specifically amazing in the bottom side, but he seemed comfortable on it, so he's going to go for that again.
Well, the drafts is leaving much to be desired so far, though. The only really big mix-up going on right now is obviously the Qiyana. Fiora now going to be banned away, which maybe that is foreshadowing the end of times, as perhaps Doran wants to go with yet another Mordekaiser, and obviously Afreeca acknowledging that, bans it away. So we'll see what DragonX wants to do next. Rise now going to bite the dust here.
And the Ornn going to be banned. Respect to the Ornn.
Well, not even sure if DragonX would actually be a team that would end up picking it up, but we'll see here. Okay.
You okay over there?
Nah, I'm going to need a moment here, Valdez. Okay.
Aatrox.
Goes from bad to worse. I'm going to need you to take over for a bit here.
Okay. Well, I mean, there were a lot of top lane champions that were taken away out of the small amount of champions that the Korean players do like to pick up. So he wanted to go in blind and feels comfortable on the Aatrox. And with the Fiora bans and the Rise bans, it's not so bad, I suppose. Still, there are a lot of things that can shut it down. Orianna is going to come in. Maybe you just go for Renekton again on Kiin. He looked amazing in game number 1 on that pick. It's a pretty good ball carrier at the same time. They have their magic damage in the Orianna. But instead, maybe they want to take a different kind of approach. Again, another good matchup into the Aatrox as, okay! That was very quick as Chovy, he's angry. He wants to get in there and catch some big fish.
This game is going to be decided very, very early on. You have Aatrox, Lee Sin, and Fizz going up against Orianna, Kiana, Camille. We don't really get to late game with either of these two team compositions, and mostly it's just evaluated on the basis of, did DragonX get an advantage or not? Because if they didn't, just pound for pound, Afreeca's champions all just line up better and will eventually do more than their opponents. And even though Fizz is very nimble and slippery inside of team fights, it's not really going to matter because it'll come at the cost of the rest of the team just doesn't have a mid lane champion that's going to offer that much against Afreeca's comp.
No, for sure. So definitely not the pick we were thinking coming into game number 3, but DRX, they are angry and they want to mix it up in a big way with that Fizz pick. We'll see if it pays off for them as we're ready to jump onto the Rift now for game number 3 of Afreeca Freecs up against DragonX. We're going back onto the same sides for the same teams. Deft, he's got a little movement in his shoulders. He's got a smile on his face. We'll see if he can carry this time in game number 3.
TSM fighting.
TSM.
Wrong team. Valdez.
What?
What?
No, you're supposed to join the chant with me.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for for LCS to resume.
Oh, yeah.
It's only a couple of weeks away.
I know.
Right? Yeah, so
Really close.
LCS and LEC going to be starting up a bit earlier than LCK. So looking forward to seeing maybe what is also going to be different as the KeSPA Cup wraps up tomorrow. One of these two teams here today will join Sandbox in the finals, and that'll be it for the Korean scene until LCK does end up resuming. So the next glimpse that we'll get into any meta changes or what's going on in the pro scene will happen at the end of the month. As so far here in this game, yet again, Afreeca, they really like to do this. They're wandering together as a ball. And just looking for virtually anything.
Oh.
Here we go.
The late invade, but it is spotted, and they are going up against a Braum. I'm not sure if you really want to force this. That's a very, very early W taken by Pyosik to get away from that one.
Look at Chovy. Now, the amount of mana he's missing, I think that means that he cast E on the wave. So we're going to have to go back there and see if he did, in fact, take Playful Trickster and try to hard shove it. I guess that is what he did.
He's going to go in and check the red side just to make sure that there's no sneaky Kiana getting in there. But with that push, I think he doesn't miss any of this CS, so he gets back in time for all of that XP. Now, both of these junglers are going to be stunted in terms of their growth. And already on this patch, they lose, a bunch of comeback mechanics and XP scaling like that. We had Spirit start blue after running all the way from red, and now he's backing.
Yeah,
so
this is definitely a bit surprising. And Pyosik now already, he's about to finish his blue side jungle. He'll start pathing up towards top. And
nice trade. You can see he waited for the second part of the Q, hook shot it in, got the shield, was able to manipulate that and make it work really well. Pushes the lane at the same time, gets a deep ward in, because again, the jungle starts are really wonky. They want to get some eyes onto the Lee Sin and find out exactly what kind of path he's taking and whether or not he is going to go for those Krugs.
And meanwhile, though, I mean, Deft and Keria, they could just recall right now, or although it looks like they're going to go over, they're going to get the Scuttle Crab first. Okay, they're going to actually hit the Scryer, just to make sure that there would be no wards or anything around. And they're utilizing their bot lane priority to come over and convert into this capture. And so the Qiyana, you know, we talked about her, I believe, before game number 1 even kicked off, that inside of the jungle, she is a very weird jungle. She has some benefit given the fact that she's able to recall into longswords over and over and over and over again and over again.
And over again.
And over again. Yeah, you got to get that last one.
We got there.
You do have to do that. So in that regard, she's okay, but she's very, very akin to, she's like a scaling Shaco, if that makes any sense. Shaco's not a champion.
Is he not now?
He's not. I mean,
Did
support,
they
I
remove
guess
him?
he's a champion, but he's not a champion.
Do you go AP Shaco?
AP Shaco. Shaco.
Shaco.
Shaco.
All right. I mean, yeah, in Korean.
Here, let me show you how. Okay.
All right, hook shot coming in. We're gonna cut you off there. Little snack is coming on in.
Oh.
Doran gonna make it over the wall, but Kiin is going to follow. He's got that health ticking. One more auto, but he's gonna
Kiin
get
messed
out
up.
of range. Kiin. Very unfortunate. Spirit gonna miss, but here comes that hook shot and an easy cleanup. Spirit able to tank that one up. First blood goes over to Kiin. Once again, having fun in the top lane.
And I feel like Chovy is tilted. He actually kept pathing back up to that spot at Golems, which would only work if Spirit would just instantly recall. But given that everyone knows that Fizz is missing, it's unlikely. And so Chovy just wastes quite a bit of time, gets back into the mid lane. And now Doran trying to crash the wave in again. And then maybe transition this into something else. But Lee Sin is, I mean, he's been farming.
Yeah,
so
you
far.
know, he's getting some XP.
And the sad thing is that he can't really gank for any lane. This isn't solo queue. Okay, the Camille isn't just going to constantly play in a way that leaves her susceptible to be killed by an Aatrox Lee Sin gank. So Lee Sin is defaulted to basically counter and match ganking, and outside of that, just power farming. Now, Fizz is not actually going to go for any sort of a dive right here with the Varus and Thresh. Elects to instead just take out the Blasting Cone.
Yeah, an interesting decision there. I mean, it's not the most important thing up against Qiyana, who can scale walls, but it looked like he was considering diving bottom side, but the reaction from the Afreeca bottom lane led him to believe that, oh, okay, they know I'm missing. And so far, this Fizz pick, yeah, he is 5 CS ahead, 4 CS ahead, but it's not worth it if we just sit back and wait until, 20, 25 minutes into the game, unless he's going to get some sick ultimates onto the back line. And he does have a lot of burst, and there are a lot of squishies on the line of Afreeca, but we'll have to wait and see if he can actually make it happen in a pro game, which is generally not something that happens.
Well, Fizz is often pretty difficult to make work in competitive. Originally, Fizz did look positioned to make a resurgence in the meta when she ended up, or this is a he. When he ended up getting buffed, I always call Fizz because originally when I started playing League of Legends, I didn't read anything and everything was in Korean.
Yeah.
And I just thought Fizz. So for about 4 years, I never knew.
Now you know.
And now I know.
It's good.
So Fizz was originally buffed, but then they took away a pretty large percent of the buffs that they had given. So it didn't look like we were going to be seeing any resurgence. But so far, I mean, I think Chovy is actually doing a pretty good job here against this Orianna. The fact that he's winning in CS is always a good sign. Just going to be recalling here.
We're just going to hand this blue over to Spirit, actually, who was still level 4, as Pyosik is level 6.
Yeah, Qiyana sucks. Okay, I don't know. Like,
I mean, take a look at the farm difference. Yes, she helped out in the gank on the top side, but if you're behind 5 camps,
Right.
You're not gonna have a
It's
good time.
invalidated, and this is the thing I get very angry with, and you see me mauled about on Twitter is.
I mean, you're always kind of mauled.
I am always typically maulding. I do agree
in a
with
state
that.
of mauled.
Yeah, I'm permanently in mauled status. If I was a Pokemon, you'd capture me. My nature would be mauled. So I do tend to.
That is your
go
nature.
That,
It's
that
true.
That is true. But what's going on is, in solo queue, you play this champion, you get 6 kills. And then you just keep running around, you perma-kill the enemy, nothing really happens. In a competitive controlled game...
Spirit got that.
Oh,
you
man,
guys
hold
are so
on.
dead. Okay, nice little job on the lantern, but that's about it. And Pyosik, we'll see if he can actually get away. The bullet time going to come in, and that is so close. Pyosik will be able to get away. No chase down from the side of Afreeca. They're happy with what they get with just the 1 kill and a bunch of summoners.
And so here's the thing with what's going on right now is they got the Infernal Drake, which is obviously a really big thing for their team composition, especially Fizz, who utilizes sort of like dual scaling in the sense that Fizz auto attacks a lot, so having an amplification to the AD stat is nice, and obviously the AP scalings, but without them getting anything, even though the Kiana isn't really achieving too much, the Camille, the Orianna, and the Misfortune are a clock that DragonX has to deal with. So they get in here, the red gets stolen away, Playful Trickster comes out by Chovy, and then honestly, I was getting Finding Nemo flashbacks right here. As Fizz just got locked up in the fish tank right there by Camille, and wasn't going anywhere. So, meanwhile,
all right,
here we go.
Gonna be kicked out of the hook shot. We'll see if he can 1v2. We got Chovy coming up here as well as Spirit trying to help out. Can they knock him into the wall? Kiin is really just not taking damage, and there's the burst from the Kiana. Gets into the back line. Kiin is gonna go down now. It is a 1-for-1 as Spirit now in a bit of trouble has to flash away from that one. The mid-roam, really the difference maker to clean up that kill on the backside as in comes Chovy a bit faster than the Orianna after pushing the mid lane. Ends up being a 1-for-1, although the collapse originally came from DragonX.
Yeah, and it was really important that Chovy was able to be there to help out with that. Otherwise, it was just going to be DragonX falling further behind. Doran, his 2 turret plates right now. And
okay.
Spirit
He's getting
is just
in.
going to get clapped
that
by
was
this
a
Prestige Edition Atrox.
easy clap right there. No other way to describe it.
All right, well.
He just got bopped by the Atrox.
That definitely was a clown bop if I have personally ever seen one. As Atrox now just going to be set to recall. He has his teleport coming up soon. Cloud Dragon coming up, and DragonX, they're in an okay position right now with the Infernal Drake, 1,000 gold lead. We take a look at the replay here. Pyosik comes in. The kick didn't do anything because Camille's shield that she ended up having up, and it looked like everything was just going to be fine until the fish appeared. And Kiin, there was just really no way out of this as Chovy tried to add a little bit more damage to Spirit. He ended up flashing away. Rift Herald now going to be picked up by Afreeca and most likely converted into immediate plates. As honestly, Fly, he's not really doing a whole bunch inside of this lane against Chovy. He has Spellbook. Currently, Barrier is up on him. Luden's Echo almost completed for Fly. Now he just changed his other summoner to Cleanse and then immediately
really
used
noise.
it again.
Yeah.
It looks like he's... The only reason that you would... I assume you would do that is to try to cycle back to
Trying to
what
cycle
you...
back to TP.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. You just hold on to the barrier for now in the lane, but you want to get back to that cleanse. And honestly, I mean, in the lane, he's going even with the Fizz. He hasn't been locked away. The Orianna, pretty good into the Fizz. You can handle him early, and you're not going to take too much, especially if you have barrier. You shouldn't be dying. And so holding on to that one, he had a great play, landing that Shockwave earlier on in the Dragon Pit, although DragonX did pick up the Infernal. We have Chovy now just roaming once again, going to take out that Blasting Plant. And just slowing down on the action a little bit. Had a bunch of fun in the top side.
So the thing here that's going to be a little bit scary is DragonX is going to get one really powerful team fight, and then that's going to dictate the pace of the game that's going to follow it. So whatever happens in the initial one is probably going to just cause a chain reaction, one way or the other. If DragonX ends up winning it, they'll probably maintain tempo, and they can keep trying to do things. If they end up losing it, it's going to feel really bad. They're going to end up being likely down on summoners across the board. Their champions are going to be falling behind, not dealing a lot of damage. Camille and MF are going to get so strong. Now, Ocean Dragon is the next one.
Yeah, Kiin is able to avoid this. They force out the TP. Now, Oriana's here as well. We could see a 3-on-2 if Afreeca really want to force this here. Chovy, Playful Trickster out. But now he's kind of out of the fight here. Still has his ultimate, but not going to stick around. But keep in mind, DragonX are getting a bunch of other objectives. They do get the Cloud Drake here early on. They're pushing into the bottom side. Afreeca, though, in the mid lane, actually. Their bottom lane rotating on up here to try to trade mid for bottom turret, whilst also getting the top side after winning that trade. So Afreeca give up the Drake, but they get very close to taking 2 turrets down after chunking out that mid turret as well.
Yeah, and it's honestly a bit surprising to see the trades unfold the way that they did. 4 minutes, though, until the Ocean Dragon ends up coming up. And this is a very exciting soul, because it actually benefits both parties. It's one of those souls that can really go either way, and there's no clear indicator of who it's obviously going to favor more, because both of these teams are sustain-based. Even though, obviously, DragonX has a little bit more burst inside of them, with, obviously, the Lee Sin kick, the Fizz ultimate, and what have you. Fizz, typically, Playful Trickster, using Q to get around and be slippery, Zanya's Hourglass, etc. Fizz likes to take very long, sustained fights, and so it'll be interesting to see how far this goes. Obviously, Afreeca, they would need 4 more dragons in order to get to the soul, so
yeah,
unlikely that the game would go that long.
We talked about the individual value is the word I was looking for. The individual value of the Drakes, and overall, they're relatively low. And I think the reason why they did that is because the Dragon Soul is such a big objective. So even when you see DragonX, they pick up the Cloud Drake, and you're like, well, that's going to give them like a tiny little boost to, yeah, they're going to get some ultimate cooldown by 10%. It's not the biggest steal in the world. But it just gets them one step closer to picking up that Ocean Soul, which is fantastic. You talked about 4 Drakes as ultimates being traded here. The kick away, Lantern going to save the Lee Sin. But yeah, Afreeca are potentially 15, 17 minutes away if they get all the Drakes off cooldown from getting a Dragon Soul, which would leave us at 32 minutes into the game.
Oh,
You're looking at me. You're pressuring me.
Some of that NA math coming out one more time.
So realistically, if Afreeca were to get the Ocean Soul, it would happen at like 33 minutes, which would leave both of these teams in a pretty scaled spot. I'd have to imagine that the scaling would go on the side of Afreeca. I see you nodding your head over there, so yeah. I'll assume that is correct. So if they can make that happen, it's good, but DragonX is going to be fighting tooth and nail for all of those dragons to try to get closer to that Dragon Soul, because that's one way for DragonX, even though they have the less amount of scaling, to actually have enough bonuses and enough of a lead in the game with potential wins around the dragons to, win out in a longer game. Yeah,
and I mean, the thing about this as well is, your DragonX right now, even though you're in an okay or comfortable position, you're not out of the woods yet. You really do need Baron, and even when you have it, they don't have a siege comp. They do not have the greatest way to utilize it. Now, they can try to 1-3-1, which is what they're likely going to have to do, unless they just try to man mode a Megalodon fish. That's what it's called, right? A max range Fizzar.
I guess so.
Isn't that a Megalodon?
I didn't know it had a name, actually.
All right, well,
Megalodon?
Maybe it doesn't.
Today I learned.
Today,
okay, there you go, the Megalodon.
We named it, yeah, absolutely. That's what we do here at the LCK.
Yeah, we make a lot of names, actually.
We definitely do.
Yeah, very creative.
Oh, yes. What do we call Fizz?
What do you mean?
Frank?
His name is Fizz.
What? Oh, the alias.
Frank?
I think it's Frank.
No, Frank is too Chad.
Frank is too Chad? All
Yeah.
right. Francis?
Perfect.
Francis.
Francis, especially for his, position in the meta right now. He comes out, he's like kind of that awkward guy where we're like, whoa, that's kind of cool, but like, is that actually good? I don't know. Like, that's definitely a Francis. Absolutely.
All right, perfect. All right, Ocean Dragon is up. And honestly, I mean, this team fight should favor DragonX. Their champions are much better positioned right here. You have BF Sword plus Essence Reaver on Misfortune. Fizz has...
He's an item ahead.
Yeah, Fizz has an entire item ahead of Orianna.
Although technically they'll both have the Zhonya's activation.
They will.
Which, Fizz is basically only getting the win in the stats here.
Yeah, the Zhonya's Hourglass, though, the armor is really big, though, against the
true.
Camille MF and the Kiana. And Spirit, no, he's going to do him like this.
A lot of poke damage going both ways. Spirit, I didn't even realize he was in there. And it resets. Is he going to get it? No, he will not. The Kiana ultimate comes down 3-on-3 on the top side, but DragonX are winning that one. But we do have the big Shockwave gets 3. Fly puts them all in the dumpster as flashes come out. And DragonX are going to be able to get away. Mystic going really deep. Is he going to be able to bait them into this fight? Doesn't look like it. As... Man, that was a big Shockwave. Gets them the win, actually, in the team fight 2-1. Although that Drake brings DragonX just one Drake away from the Ocean Soul.
It really does. I mean, this is now going to be really scary. And unfortunately, it reset because it juggled aggro off of Doran. And you can see also at the north, the Fizz ultimate actually did quite a bit of damage. Deft just barely managed to get over the wall to the right-hand side. The Orianna ult came out. And then right here, Mystic went in on Aatrox, able to follow him up, but then not the same level of communication with some of the teammates, not able to bring him down. So even though that wasn't a catastrophic loss for Afreeca, they ended up doing pretty okay in the following fight. They did lose the dragon, and now they have a mini game where they must stop every single Ocean Drake that spawns at this point. It is raining in Afreeca's house right now.
Oh, absolutely. They're crying a little bit on the inside as well as on the outside. We are going to have another 18 minutes until potentially we could see 3 more Drakes come in, and it's... yeah, they're going to have to hold off every single time. Trying to poke forward is DragonX here. They do have the Rift Herald, it looks like right now. Surely is in the hands of Pyosik, looking to go mid. They don't really find an opportunity to do so here. So the last fight, we were talking about how DragonX looked good on paper going into that one, just items and item timings. And it ended up going against them just based on execution, which can happen from time to time. But now, as the Drakes come along, Afreeca won the last one, but as the time ticks and talks here against DragonX, every fight should be a little bit more and more in favor as Chovy is not in the best position here. Going to try to playful trickster out of this one. Tons of poke damage coming out here as the bullet time is going to be interrupted already, though. Another big shockwave is going to catch Deft in the back line. Fly is playing like a god tonight. Once again, looking to do work on this Orianna. This, my good friends, is going to be another ace as Kiin finds Chovy in the jungle, shuts him down, and Afreeca again are stomping DragonX.
And with this Baron, they're going to be in control to get the next Ocean Dragon. So DragonX aren't going to have that to look forward to. And these kind of team fights at this stage of the game, this is the 1.5, 2-item completion. When you look over, Fizz is the same champion. He's been the same champion for the last couple of minutes with the items that he has, and he doesn't get any stronger. We take a look at how this is all transpiring. Chovy just going way too deep. As you can see, Camille, she just is doing so much. The Orianna Shockwave getting so much value. Deft not able to do anything. Lee Sin. Yeah, he doesn't do much. I'll tell you that much. So
that's a fat kek W right there. from the Lee Sin. That's
That's
all
an
I could
Itsu
see.
moment, yeah. For sure.
He's like, oh, you guys are fighting? Let me press R and then die.
So
man.
here's the other thing, is that the items that Chovy has right now, you have the Proto Belt, you have the Zani's Hourglass. These are not two very big AP items. So Fizz right now building towards Lichbane. But Lichbane wants you to have a lot of AP in order for it to be truly valuable. So even what Chovy is accelerating towards isn't that big of an item change. Atrox, he's going to pick up a Death Stance. Lee Sin, he's going to get a Black Cleaver for himself. Atrox and Varus, depending on if Atrox has already applied stacks for himself. But all of these items aren't as meaningful or as impactful as the items that Orianna, MF, and Camille get every minute that the game passes, and it becomes so much harder for these champions. So even though the Kiana is essentially an R-bot, it's completely fine because
It's a good R-bot, too.
it's a nice R-bot champion, I guess.
It's a big ultimate, you know, if you land it correctly.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
It can wombo really well
It can.
with the combo. Yeah, that's a big wombo. W for wombo. Shout out to all my Patrick fans. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a champion that's, you know, it wants to scale, but it doesn't necessarily need to if your team gets ahead and you have big carries that can wombo combo with you, like MF and Orianna. Not to mention Kiin, who, again, is just playing Camille and another carry champion and just dumping on this team. I mean, we knew he was good, but this is just getting out of hand. He finds Chovy in the jungle and just says, no, I see your death coming 10 seconds ahead. And DragonX know that they cannot challenge here at this Ocean Drake. At least they do have a long time before Afreeca can get close to an Ocean Drake soul. So for them, not the biggest loss. They just have to try to hold on. But as we mentioned before, the clock is ticking, and Afreeca is miles ahead.
Yeah, they are light years ahead of DragonX right now. And, I mean, a lot of people are probably watching this late, but don't DragonX have 3 dragons? Yes, but they're not going to be in a position to fight for the next one until 5 minutes from now, which also means that another Baron has to come up before then. So there's so many problems that they're staring down right now. Chovy, same champion for the last 7 minutes, conducting himself the same exact way inside of team fights. Nothing really changing. Here we go.
Chovy is getting in there, trying to get this started. Ultimate coming down in the jungle, but look at the wombo combo on the other side. Good stopwatch there, the Zhonya's from Chovy, but look at Kiin. He's going 1v4 right now. He's got an MF behind him, trying to combo there as the 8 drops.
Oh.
Kiin is so angry right now. The quadra kill.
Oh, give him the
this
penta.
guy does not stop. He's got the hook shot. See you later, Pyosik. He's going to try to dive into there. Get him. Oh, he's not going to be able to. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Get me out of here. And you know what, guys? Afreeca is going to be able to do just that. They're pushing for the win. As Pyosik has been doing 0.
Is it still going? The
PY
penta timer?
0 Shik here in this game. He is going to put on a nice little stopwatch show. That is going to be the end of this series. Afreeca move on to the finals of the KeSPA Cup in flashy fashion. What a crazy series by Afreeca Freecs, especially by Kiin, who just dumpstered them 3 games in a row. Oh, man.
He certainly is continuing to live up to his reputation as being the, well, I always referred to him as the best overall top laner that the LCK has to offer. And, I mean, he definitely had a nice day here today, Kiin did. So
Yeah. Even the coach is flustered. Now, he's like, oh, crap, how did you do that?
This is going to be an exciting top lane final between Kiin and Summit.
Man.
So that'll be really, really good to look forward to. I think that no one was expecting the end result here today. CV Max talking to Pyosik first. Deft looks a little bit mortified right now. Chovy looks like
He's looking at the bottom of his mouse. Like,
I'm not sure what's going on there. But Afreeca, they can be feeling pretty good. They're going to the finals against Sandbox. This is not a matchup that I think anyone was expecting. This is actually 2 middle-of-the-pack LCK teams meeting each other in the finals over all of the juggernauts of 2019 summer. So
it's 5th versus 6th place, right?
Yeah, Kiin gets the
from 2019.
Yeah, so that is what is going on right now. So
yeah, Kiin just I mean, take my heart with you. This guy was the MVP of the series by a light year, okay? He won every lane. He won the Rift, I'd say, in 2 out of 3 of these games. And his team fighting is unbelievable as well. On 3 different champions, he has played, I think, now 9 unique champions in the top lane?
Yeah, so
in the KeSPA Cup? Like, what is going on with this guy?
No, the interesting thing is going to be the finals tomorrow, because we've seen that, okay, Doran can actually grapple with the other big top laners, but Summit is probably the only other top laner along with Nuguri that can beat Kiin inside of lane straight up without the need for a jungle. So seeing that matchup and dynamic tomorrow will be really interesting. But also, it'll be interesting for other ways, because even if Summit falls behind, he's really scary. Even when he ends up losing lane or getting killed or something, he still finds ways to be relevant. So that'll be that's my key player point for tomorrow to pay attention to.
Oh, for sure.
But Afreeca, in tonight's series, they came out really explosive. They ended the game so quickly, but that was also a byproduct to some of the sinfulness inside of DragonX. With
they were the sinners tonight.
They definitely were the sinners. And it's really good to see the Saints walk away victorious.
Yes, as they usually do in the movies. I mean, Kiin is a saint, basically. It looks like he's flying around here with the Camille, with the GA. Is just stomping some nerds. He didn't get the penta, which I'm really
get the penta,
sad about.
So I think that we need to actually report Pyosik for that one. So
yeah, Pyosik will be interesting. If you're a DragonX fan and you look at this and you're a bit disappointed, notice that after every single game, CV Max went up to Pyosik and was talking in depth. He's a newer pro player. Maybe as the season goes along in 2020, he can get a bit better.
I don't want to. There's probably a lot of viewers watching this and they're like, "Oh, Pyosik sucked. He didn't do anything."
No,
Listen,
I don't want to.
I don't want to drop an F-bomb or something. His jungle lane matchups were absolutely horrendously terrible. You should feel bad if you criticize him as a player, because what do you want him to do with Lee Sin Fizz, Lee Sin Aatrox, and the matchups that they're in? He can't do anything but farm. And even in the previous series, his matchup sucked. And when we're talking about pro players, it is unrealistic to just think that people are going to go comatose in lane phase and allow themselves to be ganked over and over by junglers that shouldn't get ganks, which is why Kiana fell 2 levels behind and Lee Sin was 2 levels up, but it just didn't matter. We're going to go to the interview with the MVPs.
Yeah. DragonX, obviously, as a team, some work to be done, as we are going to see here the victors, Afreeca Freecs. I will try again to translate this.
오늘 정말 놀라운 경기력이 좀 펼쳐졌습니다. 확실히 다른 컬러의 두 팀이었어요. 그래서 경험치라든지 스타일이 굉장히 달라서 어떻게 준비할까도 굉장히 궁금했었는데요. 울산에서의 승리 기분 어떠신가요?
일단 울산에 이제 멀리 왔는데 하루 만에 돌아가지 않아서 참 다행인 것 같아요.
네.
He's happy he was able to come down to Ulsan and stick around for an extra day.
함께하고 싶었던 이 마음이 경기력으로 제대로 좀 드러났던 것 같습니다. 1세트 레넥톤부터 오늘 기인 선수의 그 진가들이 좀 드러나기 시작했었는데 사실 기인은 특별하다 뭐 이런 얘기를 많이 해요. 아시죠?
글쎄요.
근데 오늘도 사실 전체 수치적으로 봤을 때 딜량 계속 1위 하셨습니다. 3세트 모두 딜량 1위, 거기다가 활동량에 라인전의 스킬샷 빈틈이 없었다는 생각이 드는데 본인이 플레이했을 때는 오늘 어떠셨나요?
Basically talking about everybody calling him the best and just an unbelievable player, so asking his opinion.
그만큼 상황을 잘 만들어줘서 그만큼 돌아다닐 수 있었던 것 같아요.
네, 오늘 진짜 이따가 분명히 좀 물어보고
He is
싶은
also
부분이긴
complimenting
합니다만
his teammates, but also
점차
his
정말
own good
완전체가
play.
되어간다라는 생각이 들었어요. 특히나 그 첫 킬을 냈던 바텀에서의 뒤틀 굉장히 날카로웠고 게다가 좋은 기세가 여기서부터 시작됐다고 해도 말이 될 것 같은데요. 혹시 그 부분에 대해서는 약속됐던 플레이가 있었던 건가요?
이제 약속된 거는 아닌데 순간적인 각이 보여서 이제 다 같이 이제 텔 보면서 이제 잡아보자고 했던 것 같아요.
He said a lot of the calls were just spontaneous. They were talking about a specific play there as well.
데프트 선수 가장 좀
But it was kind of a spontaneous thing that they jumped on the opportunity.
바텀에 대한 압박감을 제대로 심어주시더라고요. 좀 신경 쓴 부분이 있었던 거예요?
이제 아무래도 상대 이제 미드 바텀 쪽이 아무래도 좀 베테랑 선수들이 많다 보니까 그쪽으로 좀 더 중점을 뒀던 것 같아요.
확실히 그런 것들이 잘 먹게
Sorry, I didn't quite catch
들어가면서
that. It's a bit hard for me to hear
진입하는 각을 계속해서
that
보던
translated.
이 상대팀을
Trying to
상대로
do my
굉장히
best.
그에 대한 대처를 잘하셨는데 그 부분이 가장 잘 드러났던 것이 드래곤에서의 1세트 기억나시나요?
네.
드래곤에서의 한타 장면이었던 것 같아요. 드래곤을 열심히 치다가 드래곤X 선수들이 오는 걸 보니까 바로 뒤를 두셨거든요. 그 당시 상황은 어땠나요?
이제 자르반이 오는 상황이었나요? 그때 이제 자르반이 이제 뚜벅뚜벅 걸어오길래 그냥 저는 제 할 일 하면서 아래 팀원들 그냥 믿어줬는데
네.
잘 풀렸던 것 같아요.
그 이후에 이제 둥지 쪽으로 들어가서
He's
데프트
talking about when he
선수까지
joined
끊어줬었어요.
into the fight
근데
in
그 드래곤이
game 1 in the
얼마
mid
HP가
lane.
얼마 남지
He just
않은
saw it
상황이어서
happening and
뒤로는 판단을 하기가
was
어려울
able
것
to
같은데
collapse
그때
on
혹시
time.
누가 오더를 했었는지 기억이 나세요?
자세히는 기억이 안 나가지고
네.
그냥 각자 센스로 했던 것 같아요.
He doesn't remember a
약간
specific place she was
본능적으로
mentioning, but he kind of just did it
바로 한타
based
대승을
on,
좀 거두긴 했습니다.
instinct or just
오늘
sense, as they say
이제
it.
정말 멋진 경기력이 나왔는데 오늘 가장 응원을 좀 많이 해주셨던 분이 계시다면 누가 있을까요?
이제 다들 조금 이제 몸 상태가 조금 안 좋아서 아무래도 감독님이 걱정을 가장 많이 하셨는데
네.
감독님이 좀 걱정이 많으셨을 것 같아요.
Seems like he was a little bit sick, but his coaches really looked after
조언보다는
him.
이제 약간 걱정을 좀 많이 해주셔가지고 그 부분이 참 감사했던 것 같아요.
He's really thankful for the coaches and how much they worry and
이제
take
저희
care of the players.
다전제에서 3대0 승리 처음 해본 것 같은데 앞으로도 많이 시켜드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 정말 든든하고 멋진.
He says he's going to
기인
continue with his
선수의
ways and
말씀이셨습니다.
keep on bringing the
그래요,
wins.
이제는 용준 그분을 한번 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 플라이 선수입니다.
And now we're going to talk with Fly,
감사합니다.
another player that had a
지난
pretty
인터뷰 때도
awesome
굉장히
series.
많이 하셨었어요. 오늘은 어떠세요?
네, 오늘은 좀 많이 편안한 것 같습니다.
그렇습니까? 그렇다면
He said this was
소감
a
한
very
말씀
comfortable
들려주시죠.
series.
솔직히 말해서 그냥 마음 편히 왔었는데 이게 3대0으로 이길지는 상상도 못했거든요. 근데 이겨가지고 기분이 좋습니다.
He came here very comfortably. He wasn't expecting the 3-0, but now he's feeling really great after picking it up.
마음이 편했다는 건지 아니면 저도 어차피 다음 경기 있으니까라는 식의 마음 편했던 건지 궁금하네요.
그냥 제 심리 상태가 그랬습니다.
그래요. 이길 것 같았나 봐요. 예, 자신감이 분명히 있었던 걸로
He's,
제가 알아듣도록
she asked him,
하겠습니다.
you
최근에 이제
know,
플라이 선수의 시대다라는 말이 있어요. 들어보신 적 있나요?
he just responded very
없어요?
confidently
제가
in typical
얘기해드릴게요.
Fly
이
manner.
플라이 선수가요, 사실 그 독특하고 특이한 이 컬러감을 좀 갖고 있잖아요. 챔프폭에 대해서. 근데 이게 오히려 운영이나 뱀픽적인 측면에 있어서는 최근에 강점으로 드러나고 있어요. 어떻게 생각하시나요?
그런가요? 저는 이제 딱히 그런 걸 느껴보지도 못했어가지고
네.
제 입장에서는 잘 모르겠습니다.
그래요. 저희가 많이 열심히 좋아하고 응원하도록 하겠습니다. 그 플라이
Saying
선수는
like
오늘은
something that the
특히나 이
fans
부분에
were
대한
saying,
칭찬을
or
꼭 해드려야 될것
he's
같다는
this
생각이
specific
듭니다.
kind of player, and he's like,
하늘은
oh
굉장히
really? I
잘
didn't think I was
잘 짜는 선수다.
like that.
이런, 바로
So I don't
인정을
really
하시는
know.
것 같아요. 이 평가에 대해서는 어떻게 생각하세요?
그런가 봐요. 딱히
네.
그런 것 같습니다.
그런 것 같아요. 자, 2세트 그러면 제가 예시를 하나 드려야겠네요. 2세트에서 좀 제대로 증명했던 장면이 있었습니다. 한타 설계나 그 이후에 풀어가는 과정들이 오늘따라 굉장히 전략적이고 꽉 짜여진 장면들이 인상 깊었는데 특히나 오른 궁, 그 이후에 브라움의 탈진, 기인 선수 캐넨의 진입까지 이 부분에 대한 팀 합은 어떤 식으로 좀 맞춘 건지 즉흥적으로 좀 나왔던 건가요?
아니요, 이게 연습 때 저희가 좀 많이 했었어가지고 딱 이제 자연스럽게 딱딱딱 된 것 같아요.
Asking about the Ornn and Kennen combo, and he's like, yeah, it's something we practiced a lot, and so it just came out like tak, really easily.
기인 선수부터 한번 들어볼게요. 사실 기인 선수가 상대하게 될 선수가 서밋 선수잖아요. 예, 샌드박스 게이밍의 상체 힘이 강하다고 현재 평가를 받고 있는데요. 한솥밥을 먹었던 서밋 선수를 상대로 오히려 기인 선수가 굉장히 잘 알고 있기 때문에 좀 더 긍정적으로 바라보시는 분들도 계실 것 같다는 생각이 듭니다. 어떻습니까? 결승전 각오 한 말씀 들려주시죠.
이제 우태형이 이제 같은 팀에 있었을 때부터 좀 잘하는 선수라고 느껴서 좀
Talking about Kiin
긴장을
versus
하고
Summit.
데뷔를 해야 될 것 같아요.
네.
So they used to be on the same team, of course, on Afreeca, and he
이제
says,
내일 당장 대회를 하는데 이제 내일도 오늘 같은 경기를 보여드리기 위해서 내일도
he's
열심히
he's really looking forward to that
감사합니다.
matchup because they know each other really well
감사드립니다.
as friends.
자,
And
이번에는
he says,
플라이
he wants to do as well as he did
선수의
today
사실
tomorrow.
플라이
That's his
선수가
main
작년에도
goal
케스파컵
going into the
결승에 올랐던
finals.
경험이 있습니다. 그때 맞죠?
아 맞습니다.
그때는 사실 아쉽게 준우승에 그쳤었는데 이번만큼은 이 새로운 팀에서 결승전 우승까지도 바라보고 싶을 것 같은데요. 각오 마지막으로 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
일단 작년에 제가 초비 선수한테 닦였었는데 제가 올해 이렇게 이겼으니까 이제 결승에서도 더욱 더 마음 편히 준비를 할 수 있을 것
So
같아요.
he
그래서
said finally he was able to defeat Chovy.
좋습니다.
For the first time
네, 플라이
in a long
선수의
time.
가부즈 멋진
And
경기가
so
들어왔습니다.
from here on out, he's
결승전에서도
going to be able to play much more
아프리카
comfortably
프릭스의 멋진 활약 기대하도록
and feel
하겠습니다.
good
오늘
about
다시
his
한번
play.
축하드리고요. 인터뷰 감사드립니다. 고맙습니다.
Fly always with the direct
네,
answers.
지금까지
Always fun to get him in the
결승전에
interviews
우리는
and
아프리카 프릭스의
get
두 선수와 함께했습니다.
inside
두
look
선수와
into how he's
플라이
thinking.
선수였습니다.
So he respects Chovy, but he was able to take him down this time around and not just fly, but pretty much every lane just dominated. Kiin is, what is Kiin exactly? I'm trying to figure out like who this player is. Is he just reaching another level of performance, or is it just the KeSPA Cup hype before the real season starts?
And then they bomb out.
and then he goes up against, APK, and then all of a sudden it's like, what are you doing? Like, who is this guy? I hope that doesn't happen. I really do, because as long as we keep getting this kind of play, I mean, he's up there towards the top 3 players of the LCK, you'd have to say, at this level of play.
Yeah, absolutely. And tomorrow we're taking a look at the brackets. This is the finals. It's going to start at 3 p.m.
Same
Korean
time as today.
Same time as today. It's going to be Sandbox versus Afreeca. And I'm not even going to predict anything.
Just don't say anything. Just don't predict, LS.
If I say nothing, maybe we're going to get an 8-game series. A couple of remakes, some Chrono Breaks thrown in there, and that'll be it. But
because they can't make a decision without.
they can't, right.
Because they need your prediction to go against.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you don't give that, then maybe it just will never end.
This is what 2020 has in store. So I'm looking forward to that. But again,
lots more Lee Sin, hopefully.
yeah, no. How about no? Fellas, how about no on that one?
I mean, yeah, as you mentioned, it's not Pyosik's fault. It's just kind of the drafts once again coming into that.
It really isn't. I mean, so he had Lee Sin with Vladimir Rumble against Olaf with Ken and Ornn. I don't know why
Yeah.
What do you want Lee to do with those laners? And then he had another one. He had Jarvan with Mordekaiser and Ryze against Renekton, Elise, and Vel'Koz. I guess that one's a little bit more acceptable in mid lane, with Ryze getting his Rune Prison, Jarvan EQ, etc. So that one's one where you can look at Pyosik, especially because he itemized tank. But then in the final one, you have Aatrox Lee Fizz against Orianna, Kiana, Camille, and it's another one of those things where you can't gank until your laners are 6 anyway. Why are you drafting Lee Sin? This isn't solo queue. Players are playing around Vision. They're on comms with one another. If you go through these games and look at these champions and their performances, it's very lackluster. There's other AD scaling junglers that can do so much more and keep up with pacing. And if you're going to pair Lee Sin with champions, it better not be these ones. But
No.
I'm just saying this because I feel like a lot of people are gonna flock to criticizing Pyosik for this performance.
Don't do that. Don't be that
And
guy.
There's a lot of other things that are wrong. DragonX's drafts are definitely peculiar. Their cohesion was so off today, and obviously Chovy looked really, really out of it, and Deft just was never able to get going.
Yeah, I mean, I felt kind of bad for Deft, He was always having a decent game, but never really able to do much. Even from game 1, when Kiin was just like, no, you don't exist.
Yeah.
In this game, he's like, no, back off, buddy. From then, it was kind of like Deft kind of fell back a little bit and was never really able to take a forward role in a lot of the team fights later on. I mean, that was mostly because of the way the games were going and the team compositions. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate to see DragonX fall out like that, but big props to Afreeca. I mean, we can talk about them all night if we wanted to, because those guys played like gods today. And it's going to be Afreeca versus Sandbox, Kiin versus Summit, obviously the focal matchup there. Any predictions, LS?
I'm not gonna predict anymore. I'm done with this. So No prediction there. So
Okay. I'll predict then, if you don't want
go
to.
ahead, go
I'm
ahead.
going to go for Afreeca. I think they're going to win this one 3-2-2. That would be my prediction in 5 games. But you can't say anything.
Yeah, I
because you're
won't-
not
I won't
allowed
say
to-
anything.
you're
I'm
not
not
allowed
trying
give a
to-
prediction,
yeah, I'm
so
not trying to-
I could make the worst prediction in the world.
That's
You'll just say
fine.
what- you just can't say anything.
I'm gonna have to be.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I have Atlas.
Yeah, you do.
joining, so
So
I'm
you
gonna-
guys can talk about Pokemon.
Yeah,
and Star
finally.
Wars or something.
Finally. Jeez. This uncultured.
Yeah, fun.
This uncultured
A lot
person
of
up here
fun.
with me. Ridiculous. I'm suffocating.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Yeah.
3-0. We weren't expecting it for Afreeca, but Afreeca proving once again to be a rough opponent for anyone who goes up against them. They only lost 1 game so far here in the KeSPA Cup, so we'll see if they can continue to go on that streak. But for me and you, LS, we are done. Quick day today, and we will see you guys tomorrow at the finals. Same time, same place, 3 p.m. KST. Sandbox versus Afreeca. We'll see you tomorrow.